All right, let's see if this thing work here. Testing, test. What chat at? Uh, all right, okay. It's just me talking by myself. All right, check it out. Fucking around. This is the first YouTube, first live stream. Check it out from Indigenous Minds. Waiting on the homie to come up here. Where he at? He should be in the back. Hold on one second, y'all. Put this on.
Three. I'm about to shoot at a nigga, no layup. I pull up and step back and I get my J up, yeah. Point blank, I shoot at a nigga from far like I'm Trey Young, yeah. Shoot at a nigga, no airball, ooh. Shoot at a nigga, no backboard. I break a full court press up at half court. That's no cap like an afro, ooh. I spin that still Wayne Gretzky. I keep a K on me like I'm Coach K, my Krzyzewski. Hope you set trippin', I got a set shot. Get your whole set shot. Quiet on the set, bitch. Shoot at a nigga, no bank shot. Check the game clock. Nigga, time is too precious. I shoot at a nigga, no rebound. Shoot the whole team down. Ricky's in veteran. She give me FaceTime, no texting. She give
Hey, you got a couple more. I'm waiting on. You got to come to the back, bro. I sent you the link, and I sent you the link. I'm gonna drop it in the chat. Hold on. Invite. Copy. Bino's link in the chat, bro. So we can go and get this popping off. We're gonna watch this video, Anarchy, right? And it's gonna show people how they have actually no idea what communism really is, right? Most people look, just think of China and they think of Russia, but they don't understand that this is being implemented today, right? And what they think about communism, I promise you, they have no idea what it is, right? I got a CIA documents, or FBI documents from Dwight Eisenhower. I got to see the file, the manifesto, right? And the manifesto coincides with this movie, and it coincides with how our life has been so far. And this is for everybody, right? And they have no idea what this is. So this movie is really interesting. There you go. Oh, the homie. Yo.
Sir, what do you do?
What happened, baby? Where you join that picture?
Yeah, I'm trying to get that. How do I do that, man?
You been did this. You been on top. You been on. This is the same thing. You've been on the show before, ain't
it? Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I got it from you. Goddamn it, I met you on the goddamn show. So, goddamn it, you
right, man. I gotta get my avatar, bro.
They got me right, man, so the people can see it, man. Then we're gonna go. We're gonna walk this movie. We're gonna walk this movie. We're gonna walk this movie. Got completely fed up, and you know what? I'm gonna play good. Now I had to go to YouTube, play it, but I got to download it. But yeah. Goddamn, you see the brand and shit. Look at the little. Check me out.
I'm about to shoot at a nigga, no layup. I pull up and step back and I get my J up, yeah. Point blank, I shoot at a nigga from far like I'm Trey Young, yeah. Shoot at a nigga, no airball, ooh. Shoot at a nigga, no backboard. I break a full court press up at half court. That's no cap like an afro, ooh. I spend that still Wayne Gretzky. I keep a K on me like I'm Coach K, my Krzyzewski. Hope you set trippin', I got a set shot. Get your whole set shot. Quiet on the set, bitch. Shoot at a nigga, no bank shot. Check the game clock. Nigga, time is too precious. I shoot at a nigga, no rebound. Shoot the whole team down. Ricky's in veterans. She give me FaceTime, no texting. She give me 3. I'm about to shoot at a nigga, no layup. I pull up and step back and I get my.
Right. I did that. I'm cold. Motherfuckers see that shit like this dude lame. He done made it there. I'm like, I did this myself. I'm cold, right? I did this too. I'm like, I'm all in it. I think I'm a star now. Like, you don't get your ass out of here, you think you're a star, right? We don't be pulling back in. I'm going crazy. We gotta play some music. While we wait on Beanos to come. There you go.
That's what's up.
Swear we gon' die every day. They say Jesus gon' save us. Well, I know we die if we wait. I know we die if we can't. They tell us we black, but we ain't. Aboriginal, native, yeah, we gon' die every day. Cause we don't know where we came. We been here, lived here, open borders, got deported, fought for rights. Kidnapped, bitch slapped, blacked out, covered up, washed white. Drugged up, slugged up, beat bread, left for dead, fuck your life. It's all a plan, kill your man, take your land, slave your kids, rape your wife. Why y'all look so mad if all this shit I say is true? Why y'all look so mad if all this shit happened to you? White man quick to tell you was a slave, nothing before. But he himself only been free since 1840. On recording, I'm an ancient Egyptian from Atlantis, headed straight for Canada, that's Israel. Nothing fake about me, no capping, rapping, I just fed the ink and I'm digital. No caveman, I'm original. Kentucky fried, extra crispy, wear a lot of gold cause my family history. I'm the guy to know, I bring death to history. Swear we gon' die every day. They say Jesus gon' save us. Well, I know we die if we wait. I know we die if he can't. They tell us we black, but we ain't. Aboriginal, native, yeah, we gon' die every day. Cause we don't know where we came. Swear we gon' die every day. They say Jesus gon' save us. Well, I know we die if we wait. I know we die if he can't. They tell us we black, but we ain't. Aboriginal, native, yeah, we gon' die every day. Cause we don't know where we came. Power, only respect power. Respect power. What's been said can't be said no louder. Stand for something, or you die a coward. They bombed our churches, set our kids on fire. Police keep erasing cause they backed up by the nation. Nation ain't complaining cause them Indians still hanging. Comanche, Sioux, Apache, ain't no history in blackness. No reason for that chatting if you bitch up when it's action. AR on my body, tell the bro to grab the shot and loading up that new edition. Finna hit him with this bobby. I can't shoot the shit, but 30 should've missed. 54 races, 100 for his click. Anytime in prison, they don't want the shit. They don't want the problems. Snitches get the stick. Talking all that hatred, end up running like a bitch. Quick to call the laws, quick to play the bitch. Swear we gon' die every day. They say Jesus gon' save us. Well, I know we die if we wait. I know we die if he can't. They tell us we black, but we ain't. Aboriginal, native, yeah, we gon' die every day. Cause we don't know where we came. Swear we gon' die every day. They say Jesus gon' save us. Well, I know we die if we wait. I know we die if he can't. They tell us we black, but we ain't. Aboriginal, native, yeah, we gon' die every day. Cause we don't know where we came.
Yeah, that was tough, man.
I'm trying to learn what I'm doing right. That was tough.
Absolutely.
And that's the new. That's the Indian homeboy out of St. Louis. Youngsters. I like the youngsters pushing that music like that. It always had to be about some, even though I be listening to it myself, even though, he tapping in, tapping into himself and tapping in who he is. You're gonna gain so much power for doing that. Can't nobody stop it. So shout out to them. Shout out to all the other homies too, man. All the Aboriginal communities that we be rocking with, Top Cats and Dane and Big Aboriginal Power and all the, shout out to the Discord too. I'm gonna put a link in the chat, dude. For who's that the homie? What's happening, bro? It's one of the homies from the Discord community. What's happening, man? For anybody too, let me post this little link in the chat. Yeah, for people that want to join, we got a little community. It's Discord. It's free to join. Fill out proper verification. We got a little community. We researching music night. We got all type of card night, all type of stuff going on. There's some like-minded people. If you're looking to research history and find out the truth about some things or whatever you got going on in your head, come join us. We fucking around. Let me see about this. Invite people. Copy. Back. Wow. Okay, I see you. Okay, page. All right. Link in the chat for Discord. Matter of fact, I'm pinned to the top. How you do that? I don't know how to do that. All right, there you go. There you go. Oh yeah, for sure. That's some little young dudes out of Hurricane. That's some young dudes out of St. Louis, man. Buddy, never tapped in. In fact, I got one more to play from dude. and then we're gonna get into the bill real quick. Here you go.
Yeah, rhyme so dope, my eyes low. When you move like God, the time slow. I came back for the blacks and John Doe's. Crack open them land patents, let go of them townhomes. What's a native to a native? He $5 dough if he not melanated. Pale faces got you waiting on a savior. Sending prayers up, he texting back on vacation. Yeah. God's children, give all your praise to Jesus, but how God feeling? He say put no one before him in divine image. It's you with God of Christians. I got a vision, but niggas ain't gotta listen, so they don't. We came from the soil, wasn't fucking with no boats. Bible took our spirit, English potted on our homes. Tribal families turned on us, don't
act like they don't know.
But fuck them and they bridges. We was something to nothing. And now we nothing turn to something. Reincarnation of ancients, fresh about the oven. This the message to the black man. 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 Shooters on my roof, lawyers in the coop. We can never die, bitch, we bulletproof. This the message to the black man. This the message to the black man. Say you wasn't slaves, you was prisoners of war. And stop wasting your time, these other bitches ain't important. You ain't meditating, you ain't mating with the sauce. Like what the fuck's a noodle if you ain't painted with the sauce? I find it hard to trust the pastor who rather side with the master, who preaching we should submit while getting murdered and captured. About how we should wait on God is never our vernacular. They get paid and praised by the dollar long as they keeping us stagnant. And niggas think they woke, huh? Like you could change a whole world through a vote, huh? Like slave masters willing to let their slave go, huh? That slave master was probably your kinfolk, huh? History in reverse, a black king strategy. When blacks were your majesty, they always hide your pyramids but point to where the castles be. Aristocracies with your last name patented accurately. Yeah. And I ain't even tell half the shit. Like, I ain't even tell a quarter of the shit. I'm just getting started. Y'all niggas rap about busting guns and all this weird shit. I'm trying to get my people back, nigga.
All right.
Peace. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good now. You good.
That's what's up.
One ain't got no. There you go. I'm gonna drop it down. So it look crazy with two. We're going to the thing. Right.
They don't check. They not gonna fight down here no more. You know where they going? They after the white people.
What that's showing,
now
man?
they after the white people. They gonna congregate. They gonna caravan out in Inglewood, Playa del Rey, and everywhere else the white man's supposed to stay. They gonna do the white man in tonight. And I'm gonna wait. No.
I think I messed up. Hold on. I got an idea.
Yeah, cause you know we can get right.
Hold on 1 second. Let me try something else. I think I got it. Let me see. Check this out. See if this work for it. All right. Present.
We, the Negro people down here, have gotten completely fed up. And you know what they're gonna do tonight? They don't care. They're not gonna fight down here no more. You know where they're going? They're after the white people. Now they're after the white people. They're gonna congregate. They're gonna caravan out in Inglewood, Playa del Rey, and everywhere else the white man's supposed to stay. They're gonna do the white man in tonight. And I'm gonna wait now.
Anarchy, the breakdown of law and order, a chaotic reign of terror, mob rule and rioting, the collapse of government authority. These phrases ring strange in the ears of Americans, and for good reason. Through the years, America has stood as the world symbol for law and order. Our government is responsive to the will of the people. Our courts and legislatures provide the mechanics for a peaceful redress of grievances. And the policeman on the corner has traditionally been looked upon as a friend, not as the instrument of a tyrant. Anarchy, well, that was something we read about in our newspapers that was always happening in other countries. Perhaps the people in other countries had just reasons to riot against their governments. After all, many of the nations of the world are dictatorships in one form or another. What business was it of ours, anyway? Newsworthy, perhaps, but it could never happen here. Then, in the summer of 1964, widespread rioting and looting suddenly broke out in Harlem, in Rochester, in Newark, in Jersey City, in Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Chicago, all within a few days of each other. It was as though an unseen hand had given the signal. Then, on August 18th, 1965, Guns replaced nightsticks in the hands of law enforcement officers as the Watts area of Los Angeles literally burst into a cauldron of insurrection. Thousands of rioters roamed the streets both night and day, smashing and looting, and setting the torch to over 50 square miles of the city. Hidden snipers held police and firefighters at bay as fires raged unabated. At least 35 Americans died in the violence and gunfire. The sheer magnitude of this monstrous madness strained the abilities of the civil authorities, and the California National Guard was sent to Watts with orders to quell the violence with brute force if necessary. The spectacle of American soldiers shooting it out with American civilians was even more shocking than the rioting itself. The nation was stunned and horrified. No smugness now. This time, it wasn't a foreign country. This time, it was Anarchy USA. The degree of communist influence in these riots has been subject of much discussion and controversy. For a solution to this controversy, let's review the events of recent years, both at home and abroad, in light of the communists' own plans for world conquest.
The communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. They openly declare that their ends can only be attained by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions.
The most powerful enemy can be conquered only by exerting the utmost effort and by thoroughly, carefully, attentively, and skillfully taking advantage of even the smallest rift, of every antagonism of interest among the various groups or types within the various countries.
Divide the people. Split them into quarreling factions, fighting among themselves rather than their common enemy. This is the comrades' first rule for the conquest of any country. For well do they know from long experience that the nation so divided and weakened can be easily conquered from within. For Mao Zedong, finding the point upon which to divide the people of China and create a revolution was comparatively simple. The Chinese for centuries had been principally tillers of the soil, eking a meager livelihood from land they did not always own and for which they paid tribute to landlords who generally had large holdings.
Look at them people, bro. Look at that shit.
Strong backs and legs were requisite to survival for the great masses who provided the power for China's limited and primitive industry and agrarian economy.
It's the 20th century.
A new regime promised reforms, but the communists were not interested in reform. They were dedicated to revolution. Because of the dissension and sabotage created by the insurrectionists and the reticence of some of the landlords and merchants to change the established traditions, the reforms were slow in coming. And so the rich and well-to-do were inclined to stay rich and well-to-do, and the lot of the poor fared only slightly better. And a minority of the Chinese peasants accepted the idea so subtly planted and avidly nurtured by the communist leaders. The so-called enemy of the people had been identified. It was the landlord. He was the cause of the misery and injustice. And so the point of division for the Chinese people was established. In Cuba, a land accustomed to crisis in government and the decrees of dictators, Fulgencio Batista headed a regime that was the least tyrannical Cuba had known for several decades. Rising levels of education, culture, industry, and commerce were enabling the people to enjoy the highest.
You're seeing how communism is in it's got their hands in every one of these insurrections, every one of these actions going on worldwide. Communism has been around and it's still around. They got their hands. These people got their hands in everything. Check them out. It's up.
Standards of living in all Latin and South America. Corruption in government there was, but no more than was to be found in many cities in the United States. Fidel Castro, a young, well-trained communist revolutionary with much experience, seized upon the issue of corruption in government as he undertook the creation of his revolution. It was the government, said Castro. The government was responsible for the problems and oppression felt by the people. It was the dictator and his followers. It was the Batistianos. They were the enemy. In Cuba, as in all countries, there were the poor and the poorly educated who labored in the fields. Castro promised agrarian reform, which focused the discontent of the rural community upon the latifundista. They, too, were the enemy. And so the communists, experts at fomenting discontent, began to split the population into quarreling factions, setting Cuban against Cuban. Algeria is a creation of the French. Before the French came to the land now known as Algeria, it was nothing more than a conglomerate of warring tribes. Their constant fighting among themselves for the best pasture land each spring and the best barley land each autumn kept the native population of the area at about 1,500,000 for 14 centuries. Today, after little more than 100 years of French rule, the population of Algeria stands at about 9 million. Under French dominion, the Algerian nation grew and prospered. The two cultures of Islam and Christianity were working together to create a good life. In the early 1930s, the dissident voice of the communists was heard among the people. At first, it was the Algerian nation.
Now, pay attention. This is the French and the Algiers in Africa. So listen to what they're saying. This is the French and the Algiers of Africa. So there's that assimilation. And barley and another commodity was the economics, basically what was in demand. So we're looking at what was the problem with Islam, I mean with these Muslims over here, and why Algeria became target, whatnot. And Algeria is North Africa. So we had the French crossing the Gibraltar, assimilating French Christendom, assimilating with Algerian Muslims. Now here, sir, where you at? Shout out to my partner, man. He must have had a malfunction. He'll be back in.
I'm like, you shine real quick. I'm working on something. Go ahead, bro. You good? You good?
Oh no. I was just wanted to open that up and then get it back on. Just wanted to
make sure the comments on. Somebody said the comments ain't on YouTube. I'm trying to make sure they're on.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to walk them. Okay, open that up to show this is a print.
Down.
Okay,
I'll make sure they went on.
Okay, and then get the thing up. I just wanted to pause and say this is a French and Algerian assimilation. So this is French Christians assimilating with the Islamic. And what's the problem? Let's walk.
Okay. Yeah.
Is not France, cannot be France, and does not wish to be France. Independence is the natural right of all peoples. As the seeds of disunity began to germinate, the dissident voice was heard more loudly to proclaim, Islam is my religion. Arabic is my language. Algeria is my fatherland. And so, too, in Algeria, were the issues that were to divide the people clearly defined. It was to be Muslim against Christian, Arab against European, Algeria against France. The enemy was personified as the colon. With phase one, that of dividing the population, completed, the revolutionists were ready to move into phase two of the communist blueprint for takeover. Create the appearance of popular support. In every country now part of the Red Slave Empire, the actual number of Communist Party members at the time of takeover has been less than 1% of the total population. As Lenin phrased it,
communism must be built with non-communist hands.
By what he just said in bars.
Tough. Speak on it.
Communism must be built with non-communist hands. Let me just rewind that real quick. See what this man just said. Great Stalin now.
At the time of takeover has been less than 1% of the total population. As Lenin phrased it,
communism must be built with non-communist hands.
I hope I don't got to break that down, what that means, right? I'm pretty sure people know exactly what that means. That the people that's creating this, making this, is not doing this, right? It's tough.
By cleverly beguiling thousands of well-intentioned people into unwittingly supporting the revolutionary program, the dedicated 1% can trick the 99% into surrendering their birthright. This they do by hiding the true communist objectives behind appealing slogans and pretended humanitarian goals. As Stalin explained,
the revolutionary accepts reform in order to use it as a cover for his illegal work.
In China, the propaganda mills were active in championing Mao's agrarian reform. The propagandists portrayed in vivid detail the hardships and injustices of the Chinese peasant. The communists popularized the slogan, "Land to the tiller." Mao Zedong exclaimed, "We are not striving for the social and political communism of Russia. Rather, we prefer to think of what we are doing as something Lincoln fought for in the Civil War, the liberation of slaves."
The volume, everything good.
In the United States, those books which praised Mao Zedong as non-communist and an agrarian reformer were advocated reading, and some even became book club selections. It was later revealed that many of the pro-communist books and articles were written and reviewed in this country by communists. The American people, unaware of the treachery, were conditioned to accept the enslavement of China's millions. Cubans rallied round the slogan, "Patria o muerte." But perhaps the most widely used slogan was the one later to be used in Haiti and Venezuela, and still later in English in the United States. "Venceremos." We shall overcome. Early in the revolution, Fidel Castro sought to reassure the people of the true nature of the uprising. "I have said very clearly that we are not communists. Our revolution is a humanistic one." The press of the world sang the praises of Fidel Castro. Many eulogized him as the savior of Cuba. In the United States, Castro was referred to as the Robin Hood of the Sierra Maestra, that he pursued the same policy of taking from the rich and giving to the poor. The nation's press was quick to report, "This is not a communist revolution in any sense of the word, and there are no communists in position of control. The only power worth considering in Cuba is in the hands of Premier Castro, who is not only not communist, but decidedly anti-communist." And so the Cubans and the Americans and the rest of the world were reassured that there was no infidel in Fidel. In Algeria, more land was owned by Muslims than was owned by the Europeans. Yet the propagandists claimed that the poor Muslims were being oppressed by the wealthy European landowners. The call was for Muslim unity. It was oppression, colonial oppression, the Muslims were to fight. It was to be a holy war in God's cause. The insurrectionists declared that Algerians were an oppressed people living under a tyrannical colonial government, and therefore their revolt was a war of liberation. Since all Algerians held full French citizenship, both Muslim and Christian majorities regarded the idea of liberation as ridiculous.
That sounds familiar.
Ahmed Ben Bella,
Yes, it
leader
do.
of the revolutionists, and 4 companions were arrested by the French and confined as political prisoners. Ben Bella later escaped to Cairo, where he and
Nobody
others
looking
set
at the
about the
French like
task of
they ain't got
convincing
their hands
France,
dirty. French
the
don't win this
world,
shit.
and the Algerians that Algeria needed to be liberated. Then started a systematic reign of terror designed to intimidate the Muslims into going along with the liberation movement. This book was published by the French army in an attempt to alert the free peoples of the world as to the true methods employed by the communist-led insurrectionists. The atrocities shown here were perpetrated upon the Muslims by Ben Bella's rebels parading under the banner of the National Liberation Front, or FLN.
Look at that shit, man.
Men, women, and even children came under this merciless scourge in the name of freedom.
Man, that's crazy. This one's crazy.
We would never have brought these documents to the notice of public opinion had the torturers not chosen to depict themselves as victims, had the criminals not been transmuted into accusers. And that is exactly the way it appeared to the world. The French army was accused of police brutality. The godless revolutionaries were depicted as liberators. The insurrection was described as a popular and spontaneous uprising of the people. So effective was the programming of this big lie that some of the world's leading citizens were led to give aid and comfort to the enemy that plans to conquer the world.
I am today introducing a resolution which I believe outlines the best hopes for peace and settlement in Algeria. It urges in brief that the President and the Secretary of State be strongly encouraged to place the influence of the United States behind efforts either through the North Atlantic Treaty Organization or through the good offices of the Prime Minister of Tunisia, the Sultan of Morocco, to establish the basis for a settlement of an independent personality of Algeria, interdependent with France and the neighboring nations. I believe this to be of vital importance to us.
This photo was taken October 15th, 1962 in Washington, D.C. and carried the following caption: Premier Ahmed Ben Bella of Algeria and President Kennedy stand as Ben Bella receives full military honors shortly after his arrival today for talks with the chief executive. Ben Bella is expected to thank Kennedy for having called for Algerian independence as far back as 1957. After receiving full military honors at the White House, Ben Bella visited fellow revolutionary Fidel Castro before returning to Algeria. In April of 1964, Americans read in their newspaper, "Far more important facts are that Premier Ben Bella, though very much a dictator, is not a communist." 1 month later, in May of 1964, Ben Bella was awarded the Lenin Peace Prize in Moscow. 2 months later, in July 1964, Communist Ben Bella declared, "We solemnly reply here that our socialism stems from Islam. We repeat before world opinion that we are not communists." After the communists have found some issue or point of difference upon which they can divide the people, get them fighting among themselves rather than their common enemy, The next step is to create the appearance of popular support for the communists' war of national liberation. They have been devastatingly successful thus far. Yet in one country after another, there have been alert, informed individuals who saw the signs, recognized the patterns of conquest, and raised their voices to warn the people. Against just such a contingency, the communists developed the third phase of their blueprint for world domination: neutralize the opposition.
We can and must write in a language which sows among the masses hate, revulsion, and scorn toward those who disagree with us.
A Communist Party directive issued in 1943 reads,
Members and front organizations must continually embarrass, discredit, and degrade our critics. When obstructionists become too irritating, label them as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic. Constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind.
Anti-Semitic, nothing else. Just one religion, though. One people.
In China, the formula worked well. The word landlord became almost an invective. Those who worked for the government were looked upon as grafters. The government under Chiang Kai-shek was reviled as an enemy of the people, a fascist tool of the ruling class. Those who refused to support the agrarian reformers were subject to surprise visits from roving guerrilla bands. The pattern was the same in Cuba. Those who were less than enthusiastic about Castro's reform were effectively branded as Batista followers. The man who spoke up against the revolt was labeled as a counter-revolutionary. Algerians who saw through the fraud and endeavored to warn the nation or their neighbors were vilified as extremists, colonialists, racists, fascists. Torture, death, and the fear of torture and death were also most effective weapons against those who might resist the tyrannical takeover. The number of atrocities committed in the name of freedom upon the Muslim people averaged nearly 20 per day for every day of every month for 7 years. The next step in the communist strategy is the most easily recognized, for it consists of the tactic of getting masses into motion, and thus precipitating mob violence. Master psychologists that they are, the communists know that once the masses are in the streets, it's not too difficult to convert an orderly demonstration into a full-scale riot. They know, too, that when rioting occurs, police and military forces of the government must move to restore law and order, and thus they have the first visible signs of revolution.
This is the manifesto.
Riots, demonstrations, street
right,
riots, detachments of a revolutionary army. Such are the stages in the development of the popular uprising.
The official constitution and program of the Communist Party stated in 1921,
the Communist Party will educate and organize the working masses for mass strikes and mass demonstrations. It is through struggles that the working masses are prepared for the final conflict for power. As these strikes grow in number and intensity, they acquire political character through unavoidable collision and open combat with the capitalistic state. Mass action culminates in insurrection.
Check this out. These are labor union strikes. This is what you see going on in Hollywood. Everybody striking, everybody protesting, and this is all union works. You see it in the fields of the labors of the union rackets today. People striking, people asking for better ways. We want to overthrow the boss. Now here go the CEO shaking in his boots. Man, y'all got to get back to work. Transportation stops, things to stop. And I land with this. What's happening in Hollywood on that note, why these people striking? Because again, they striking. They out here marching and striking, and you know. So here's the manifesto being used to for the writer strikes. You know, and t-shirts, hats, merch is being served. I mean, it's what it is, economics, but also it's a manifesto that's exercised and used in all aspects of work. So, man, this is a manifesto.
It's no tough, man.
Let's walk.
Yeah.
Let's walk.
Direction and civil war.
In 1964, a communist document taken from the Viet Cong stated,
"Get the people out into the streets. Quarrels should be provoked. Youth groups are to be armed with knives and clubs, allegedly to protect themselves in a manufactured tension."
in China, as in all countries, the communist appeal was aimed primarily at students, young, idealistic intellectuals, most of whom came from wealthy families who could afford to send them to school. It was from this group that the young communist recruits came who later provided the leadership and backbone for the armed conflict to follow. In Cuba, leftist-oriented students were the vanguard of the organized street demonstrations. Once the masses were in motion, that tenuous line between demonstration and riot, between nonviolence and violence, was easily obliterated. As law enforcement officers sought to restore order, police brutality became the cry of the insurgents. Algeria was more of the same: rallies, demonstrations, marches, and the inevitable flare of violence. The invariable charges of police brutality were hurled as efforts were made to maintain law and order. When marches and demonstrations turn into riots in any country slated for takeover, the communists are then ready to implement the final stage of their blueprint for conquest. It takes only a handful of armed opportunists, criminals, and savages to create the semblance of revolution.
Only insurrection can guarantee the victory of the revolution. The purpose of insurrection must be not only the complete destruction or removal of all local authorities and the replacement by new, but also the expulsion of the landlords and the seizure of their lands.
Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist forces had long been fighting the communist-inspired insurrectionists of Mao Zedong when the Japanese invaded the mainland of China. With the end of World War II and the defeat of the Japanese, the United States pressured Chiang into forming a coalition government with the communists. Through a coerced truce and enforced arms embargo, the U.S. disarmed more than 30 divisions of Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist troops. On the other hand, the Chinese communists fell heir to all the arms left by the defeated Japanese, and with the help of added armaments from Russia, Mao was soon able to ride in triumph throughout China and give 400 million Chinese agrarian reform, communist style. When it was time for the shooting to begin in Cuba, Fidel Castro received millions of dollars in cash and vast amounts of arms and ammunition from the Soviet Union and communist groups throughout the Western Hemisphere. At the crucial time in Castro's bid for power, the United States State Department declared an arms embargo against Batista's government, refusing to deliver even the arms that had already been paid for and were awaiting shipment. Yet, on the other hand, revolutionary sympathizers were delivering men, arms, and ammunition to Castro daily from the United States. In Algeria, Ben Bella's rebels were fighting their war of liberation with guns and ammunition sent to them through Tunisia and Morocco by the communist bloc countries. and just as the revolution was coming to a head, a slight change in the overall strategy was instituted. In 1958, France's President Charles de Gaulle came to Algeria, declaring with outstretched arms, "I have understood you. I declare that from this day forward, France considers that in the whole of Algeria there is only one category of inhabitants, that there are only Frenchmen in the full sense." De Gaulle called for the people to vote on the question of independence for Algeria, and the majority voted to remain French citizens, an integral part of France. De Gaulle said, 3.5 million men and women have cast their votes of confidence. This is a fact that commits France and Algeria to each other for all time. 2 years later, in 1960, the same French president, Charles de Gaulle, was heard to ridicule the Frenchization of the Algerians and to talk of an Algerian Algeria. It didn't take the leaders of the Army of Liberation long to change the talk of an Algerian Algeria into slogans demanding a Muslim Algeria. Ultimately, the revolutionary Ben Bella returned to Algeria and in due course established a regime of which he said, "We solemnly reply here that our socialism stems from Islam. We repeat before world opinion that we are not communists." And so it has been, with but minor variations in one country after another. Divide the people. Create the appearance of popular support. Neutralize the opposition. Precipitate mob violence. Create the semblance of a revolution. An accurate summary of Lenin's strategy for the conquest of the world is as follows.
First, we will take Eastern Europe. Next, the masses of Asia. Then we shall encircle the last bastion of capitalism, the United States of America. We will not have to attack. It will fall like overripe fruit into our hands.
By October of 1950, all of Eastern Europe was securely locked behind the Iron Curtain. By the summer of 1954, the greater part of Asia had fallen to the Kremlin's strategy and tactics. And each year, more nations lose their sovereignty to Marxist intrigues or degenerate into Soviet satellites, as communism hastens to complete the encirclement of the last bastion of capitalism. And what of the United States? How goes the battle in the land of the free and the home of the brave? The communist plan for the conquest of the United States was explained to the American comrades by Moscow's agent Joseph Pogany, this country by Stalin for the revolutionary movement. American Negro Problems was published in 1928 by Joseph Pogany using the alias John Pepper and carried the official communist line for America.
Problem.
The Workers' Communist Party of America, in its fight against imperialism, must recognize clearly the tremendous revolutionary possibilities of the liberation movement of the Negro people. The Black Belt of the South, with its starving and pauperized Negro farmers and Negro agricultural working masses, with its Jim Crowism, its semi-feudal status, and its political system still bearing the earmarks of the period of slavery, constitutes virtually a colony within the body of the United States of America. The Workers' Communist Party of America puts forward correctly as its central slogan, abolition of the whole system of race discrimination, full racial, social, and political equality for the Negro people. But it is necessary to supplement the struggle for the full racial, social, and political equality of the Negroes with a struggle for their right of national self-determination. Self-determination means the right to establish their own state, to erect their own government if they choose to do so. The Negro communists should emphasize in their propaganda the establishment of a Negro Soviet Republic.
In 1934, the communist writers James W. Ford and James S. Allen further defined the Soviet Negro Republic.
The actual extent of this new republic would in all probability be approximately the present area in which the Negroes constitute the majority of the population. In other words, it would be approximately the present plantation area. It would be certain to include such cities as Richmond and Norfolk, Virginia, Columbia and Charleston, South Carolina, Atlanta, Augusta, Savannah, and Macon, Georgia, Montgomery, Alabama, New Orleans and Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, and Memphis, Tennessee.
Now, y'all know this is the South.
Right.
What they call the
These
Black Belt.
cities and the cities which lie within their spheres of influence became known in communist writings as the Black Belt of the South and were to constitute the nucleus of a future Soviet republic. At the National Convention of the American Communist Party, held in New York City in June of 1940, James Ford, the Communist Party candidate for the vice presidency of the United States, said,
For the Negro in the South.
Hey, look at James. What's going on with James, man?
The Negro
He
people
didn't
of
move his
America
hand.
have in the Communist Party their best defender, the unfailing champion of their cause. I accept its nomination for Vice President of the United States.
Vice President.
by this time, the communist champions of the Negro race had hidden the revolutionary ideas and slogans for a Soviet Negro Republic behind the humanitarian banners of jobs, security, civil rights, and peace. These humanistic issues were to provide the friction necessary to divide the American people and lay the groundwork for revolution.
I am Leonard Patterson. When I was a young man,
What's going on, Leonard?
only 23 years old, I joined the Communist Party. I was a member of the National Executive Committee of the American Young Communist League. In 1930, I was the official communist candidate for election to New York State Assembly. I knew Gus Hall and other top-ranking American communists very well because I trained with them at the Lenin University in Moscow. I joined the party because I honestly thought the communists were trying to help American Negroes. I broke away from the party when it became clear to me what the communists were really up to was to use the Negro people in this country as cannon fodder in a violent and bloody revolution aimed at the establishment of the American Soviet dictatorship. It was that simple, and it is still that simple.
Man, rocking it, look at it.
Make no mistake about it. What is happening in the United States right now under the banner of civil rights is exactly what has happened in China, in Cuba, in Algeria, and many other places around the world.
I'm Julia Brown. For 9 years, I was a member of the Communist Party, serving as an undercover agent for the FBI.
That's how my mama looked.
During that time, I learned that the communist conspiracy had been planning and working for years to bring violent revolution to America. It was to be a communist revolution, but the great majority of the American people would not be allowed to realize that until it had already happened. If all goes according to the communist blueprint, Americans will believe that the chaos and violence has something to do with civil rights. Our enemies were quick to find our weak.
Now, real fast. Get it together. Okay. Now, because this is real key and very important to understand what was being placed and who was being placed to infiltrate. I mean, you heard what she said. She's an FBI undercover agent. Now, pretty as Miss Julie is, you could tell in her younger years she was a high yellow, pretty chick, but she's sent to do a job. So don't let these good looks fool you. Now, on the other hand, and last note, look at Big Dude. Now, excuse our language, we in the community, you know, we cap on guys like that, man. Look at this old Uncle Tom, Uncle Remus, you know, whatever, you know, but it's our jokes in the South. You know, we make fun of, excuse me, our brothers in the South sometimes. And to be fair, what I'm getting at is the Southern hospitality is easy to play on. This is the heart of the land. And, you know, a lot of people don't understand that Southern hospitality, man, we once we love you, we love you. So I could see them playing on the innocence of the folks down in the South. Look at this brother, man. Oh, Leonard thought he was doing a good job, man. Poe Leonard figured it out, man.
The whole time though, these movements is the communist movement is that's what it is. So we thinking that civil rights and equal rights the whole time. It's a movement behind this. It's the manifesto. So this brother went to school. He went to school overseas. She an FBI agent. She letting you know this is what we was doing. She's not coming out and telling you a narrative. She's coming out and telling you this is what I was doing. Whole time I thought I was doing something for my people.
Ooh, it's tough.
Yeah. The whole time watching them walk it.
For their attack. They knew that racial differences could provide them with an excellent wedge to divide our people. Their strategy simply has been to keep hammering on that wedge, to drive it deeper into our social structure, to open all wounds that have long since healed, and deliberately to create new ones wherever they can.
Now he acted like a good nigga for the white folks. But I tell you, I don't want to even be around no more good niggas. I'm with them good Negroes. That's what they call Rodriguez, a good Negro. I want to be with the bad niggas because I know what's happening with the bad niggas.
I know exactly what they're
That's where I want to be. I want to be with
hold on, Reverend. Tom. Yeah, we got to get on the Reverend. Rewind that. Come on, Reverend. You don't want to be with us tough guys, man. Go on, Reverend. Let him walk. Watch this.
All wounds that have long since healed, and deliberate.
Now he acted like a good nigga for the white folks. But I tell you, I don't want to even be around no more good niggas. I'm with them good Negroes. That's what they call Rodriguez, a good Negro. I want to be with the bad niggas. I know what's happening with the bad niggas.
No, you don't.
Be around no more good niggas. I'm with them good Negroes. That's what they call Rodriguez, a good Negro.
That's what they call Rodriguez, a good Negro. Listen to the last name though. He said that's what they call Rodriguez. Rodriguez, a good Negro.
Yeah, y'all hear that? Rodriguez.
What is he doing with Rodriguez? That's just something to think about. Rodriguez.
Woo. I want to be with the bad niggas because I know what's happening with the bad niggas. That's where I want to be. I want to be with the niggas.
No, you don't, man. You don't want to be with us tough guys, man.
In the back of the bus no more. And this is what they niggas to call you. And the bad niggas is not gonna work for $18 or $20. No, I want to be for the bad niggas who's gonna
wait, hold tight. Wait. Hit that, sir.
This is 1960.
You making 18? Yeah, hit that. You making 18 and $19 an hour.
What the fuck is they doing making $18, $20 an hour back then? What the hell is what's going on? What is they doing with that amount of money? Right? I mean, I don't care if it's like the top job, shit. When I started, I'm making $5 an hour. So to me to come in the game working and make $20 an hour, I thought I was shit.
So watch this. Watch this. So you complaining, Reverend? $19 and $20 an hour, people will work for that still to this day, partner. Right. So y'all out there making money. Why is you complaining, Reverend? Stop that, old Reverend. You don't want to be with us,
but
tough
I'm
dudes.
saying the fact that amount of money was people was making then. I had no idea.
Absolutely.
This in 1960s, people was making $18 to $20 an hour.
Let's
He
walk.
said he don't want to be with that nigga. I want to be with. I don't want to be with him.
Yeah, you want to be the tough guys.
Yeah, he don't want to do that.
I want to be with the bad niggas gonna swim on any God's beach where water is flowing. I want to be with this
That's the bad nigga swim anyway. Check him out. Check buddy out.
Lyndon Johnson
He ain't playing.
is the biggest nigger lover in the
He
United
ain't
States.
playing.
He may think that he can use his Justice Department with Bobby Kennedy at the head of it, and he may think that he can use J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI and the Army to force us white people here in St. Augustine and other parts of the nation to mix up with niggers. But if he sends troops in here and puts a bayonet behind every one of us, we still will not mix up with a bunch of black savages.
I like to say.
What are you talking about in the chat? She said we got to rewind that. Hurricane said we got to rewind that one more time. What's that? What you talking about, Hurricane? Tell us what we got to rewind. I go back. Tell me what it is, Hurricane.
Yeah. Partner said he don't want to be with.
That's what you talking about.
Man.
I don't want to be with the nigga.
Yeah, right. Let me hit this. Why in the hell? Them the niggas you need to be around. The people that's making $19 and $20 hour, partner. What's wrong with the Reverend, man? Reverend, come on, man. You don't want to be with us tough guys. Come on, Rev. Stop it.
I want to be with the nigga.
Yeah, watch this.
Our people. Their strategy simply has been to keep hammering on that wedge, to drive it
rewind the last 15 minutes.
into our social structure.
Break it down. Hold on.
To open all wounds.
You said rewind the last 15 minutes. What you talking about? Right there? All right, I'm going to go.
That have long since healed, and deliberately to create new ones.
Look at the Reverend.
Wherever they can.
Now he acted like a good nigga for the white folks. But I tell you, I don't want to even be around no more good niggas. I'm with them, no good Negroes. That's what they call Rodriguez, a good Negro. I want to be with the bad niggas because I know what's happening with the bad niggas.
That nigga said
I want to be with the niggas.
I want to be with the bad. I know, but that is the truth. You know what? You do know what the motherfucker.
I want to be with the bad niggas who don't want to ride on the back of the bus no more. This is what Elder Davis will call you.
I'm gonna ride in the front.
The bad niggas is not going to work for $18 or $20. I want to be for the bad niggas who going to register and vote. I want to be for the bad niggas going to swim on any gun.
I'm not working for $20 an hour. No more. I'm working for $8 an hour.
He said the bad niggas don't work for 18
in the United States. He may think that he can use his Justice Department with Bobby Kennedy at the head of it, and he may think that he can use J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI and the Army to force us white people here in St. Augustine and other parts of the nation to mix up with niggers. But if he sends troops in here and puts a bayonet behind every one of us, we still will not mix up with a bunch of black savages.
I like to say, in a real sense, not fellow freedom fighters, but fellow slaves.
Slave, man, got some education. Look
So
how
we all are slaves, not only in this society, not only in this community, but all over this nation, all over the world.
No, we're not, John. We ain't all slaves.
What you're doing here is very significant. It's very important.
You know, like in the system.
Then you follow up your friends.
You know that. Right, but everybody ain't in that system either, though. That's two bars, though. You're saying, like, everybody ain't fucking around either.
This country from the onslaught of integration. You know, the system is they want to throw white children and colored children into the melting pot of integration.
Hey, so who behind them sheets?
Out of which
That's
will
so behind them sheets.
a lot of mongrels.
But you hear
all
this
races
time, though.
will be destroyed in such a move.
Civil rights for everyone.
I, for one,
I think
God will
we as people
die
have been under the
before I
impression
yield
that
one inch.
civil rights and the fight for equality was about us, and I think that was a narrative that was painted. Because, mind you, at the time we're talking, it's a whole bunch of motherfuckers that's coming over in this country. And I talk about I'm talking about the whole bunch of people that's coming into this country, but they the one talking. You see what I'm saying? Like it's integration over here. It's a whole bunch of people, and they're not having their shot, so to speak, coming in this country over here, and the people over here, it's a fight, but they're playing on our minds. It's the Communist Manifesto, and so the whole time the equal rights, civil rights movement benefited another group of people. You see what I'm saying? It was for somebody else. It wasn't for, and it wasn't even for Americans.
All types of classes of people that was over here, right?
Huh? It wasn't even for the
It was
Americans.
all
I'm not
types of
talking about black and white.
classes over here.
Yeah, it was a whole type of fascist people, but it was people coming in and they knew the game though. We were just
right
because it's all about funding, and they knew how to get funding, and they was getting behind the movements the whole time. People thinking it is black. I mean, we thinking that is us. So you know, this whole walk is to tell people that we as a people, we didn't lose ourselves until recently. Motherfuckers thinking that we was fucked up in 1800. No. This Communist Manifesto was 1950s, 60s, 70s. The walk when they took it, that's when we fell down. Because shit, my family come from Mississippi, and I went to that plantation, so to speak, the farm, when I was a kid. So we didn't lose our land. My uncle came to Chicago. That nigga was living across the street from motherfucking Soldier Field. So he was I don't know what the fuck that nigga was doing, but that nigga had money. And my whole family came down from Mississippi off of him. And so and he was telling me there wasn't no white people in the South, and I was under the impression that as a kid, just growing up, that the South was racist, and I couldn't go down there because I'm in the North, and it's like it's all I'm grew up in Chicago, suburb Chicago, it was all niggas. So like, I'm thinking that going down South, it was racist, and come to find out, the sundown towns is all in the North, all along I-70 from New York to L.A. Those are the racist towns in the country, up North, not South. So I mean, that's a lot to tell people too. That it wasn't the South. There wasn't that many. It was all niggas down there. We was down there. And in the North, it was integration. It was integration, and they was making these cities up. So all this shit was popping in the North, these structures and shit.
So that kind of a movement, what about it? No, not only has the black man got a champion, they call him Martin Luther King, we call him Mustafa Boom. If God has some champions of the white man, and you can name Connie Lynch as one of them. Today, tomorrow, and forever. Amen. And if this nigger thinks he can scare the niggers up, I'll also inform him that the white men can be stirred up to defend what is rightfully
And so the seeds of dissension were sown among both the black and the white races. And inexorably, the people of the United States were being divided according to plan. Among the so-called downtrodden and oppressed, among the supposedly starving and pauperized Negroes, the enemy was referred to as Whitey, Mr. Charlie, the Man, and the Ofe.
I ain't never heard of Ofe.
Phase 1 was well on its way. Now it was time to implement Phase 2, create the appearance of popular support, beguile the people of the United States and the world into believing the pious fraud that the civil rights uprising, led by a handful of agitators, was a popular movement of the whole Negro race in the United States.
Now, this doesn't mean that there isn't a legitimate need for the advancement of civil rights for many of our Negro citizens. Of course, there is a need there. Otherwise, communist agitators posing as civil rights leaders could never hope to enlist massive support for their schemes. The aspirations of Negroes for full equality were not created by communists, but they are used by communists in such a way that idealistic Americans of all races can be tricked into implementing the blueprint for revolution. Having been on the inside of the Communist Party, it's easy for me to recognize this revolutionary agitation in disguise. But the average American finds it's hard to believe that something as worthy and noble sounding as a civil rights movement could possibly be a communist maneuver.
Communism must be built with non-communist hands.
God damn it. Ours. Hear what he said. Communism must be built with non-communist hands.
Non-communist hands. Come on, man.
Yes, man. God damn, man.
The revolutionary accepts reform in order to use it as a cover for his illegal work.
By concealing the true communist objectives behind appealing slogans and pretended humanitarian goals, the conspirators are able to dupe hundreds of uninformed opportunists and misguided idealists into supplying the non-communist hands needed in the overthrow of this republic. Thoroughly deceived, some of the Negroes cry for liberation through the slogan, "Freedom Now."
That's a good question. Liz. He said, do you think the leaders of the movements knew they were doing communist work? No.
No.
Hell no.
No. No. Because you're not going to question if you're getting funded. You ain't going to question what it's all about. You just going to think you doing some humanitarian work for your people.
That's what Martin Luther King said. I led my people into a burning building. What was he talking about? He wasn't talking about by marching. He was talking about I fucked up. I didn't know what I was getting into. They didn't understand all these the church and the church. All that shit was a manifesto. It's probably the most influential document we've ever set of order construct that we've ever been influenced on. They're gonna break it down how communism took over the world. They didn't lose, they won. But communism is y'all thinking this shit by itself. It's more than just them. You heard what they said. They was talking about anti-Semitism. This is in the Communist Manifesto. They're talking about you call them anti-Semitism. You call them this and call them that. But it was all talking about calling them hatred towards the Jews. What are they talking? Why would they be doing that? Because they together. It's the manifesto. World domination at its finest.
The Democratic slogan, "One man, one vote," has gained wide acceptance. But perhaps the most popular slogan is "Venceremos," the rallying cry of the deluded peasants of Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela. "Venceremos," we shall overcome, is now the rallying cry of the deluded peoples of the United States.
That sounds like a spell.
Yeah, dude. Look how close they is. Hold on, pause that. No! God damn it. I think I fucked up. Oh, I didn't. Right. Look at that shit. Look how close that dude is, right? Look at that. Can y'all see that? I'm just gonna say I think they fucking, okay? I just think that they was all in there loving when that shit make you open up and we shall overcome and you want to come. They too close though. That's too close to me.
That sounds like a
when
spell.
I was studying communist tactics,
hey, tell him, Leonard. Tell him what's going on, Big Leonard.
My instructors emphasized the importance of using honest grievances and popular slogans as a smokescreen. Of the revolution. We were taught how to use propaganda and arouse the emotion of the masses.
You took
We
my
learn how
teeth
to
from
set
me and
one group
everything.
against the other and to make them hate each other.
Mm.
We learned the necessity of having martyrs, and we were even told how to create our own martyrs if they did not automatically result from the atmosphere of hatred. We were taught the importance of getting large
Look here,
masses of
Uncle
people
Remus.
into the streets
It's
for
all
marches
Uncle Remus,
and
man.
demonstrations.
You hear
And
what he's talking
finally,
about? Hold
we
on.
were instructed.
Hold on. You hear what he's talking? Look, this is what they instructing them to do.
Yeah,
All these things.
facts.
This is the Communist Manifesto telling them to do.
To
Don't it
cover
sound
up
like
the
this is right? Don't it sound like this is good for the people?
When I was studying communist tactics and strategy in Moscow, my instructors emphasized the importance of using honest grievances and popular slogans as a smokescreen to cover up the true nature of the revolution. We were taught how to use propaganda and arouse the emotion of the masses. We learned how to set one group against the other and to make them hate each other. We learned the necessity of having martyrs, and we were even told how to create our own martyrs if they did not automatically result from the atmosphere of hatred. We were taught the importance of getting large masses of people.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is not a white man saying this. This is our own people. So this is what happens when our people that look like us, look like me and you thinking that they here for good mannerism, but this is what they have on, because you're not gonna get to the hood looking like something else. You gotta look like us. So here's an example of our people, not just Big Leonard. You had the FBI lady; she was sent. It's all part of the construct of the manifesto. Our people.
Into the street for marches and demonstrations. And finally, we were instructed in ways to take off riots and make them spread and to keep them going. When I returned to the United States, I was immediately given practical training. I participated in so-called nonviolent demonstrations that were deliberately calculated to irritate white people into violence against us. I personally was in charge of organizing a march on Washington to dramatize the Scottsboro Boys case. In New York, about 1935, a Negro boy was reported killed by the owner of a store while in the act of stealing some merchandise. Communist Party headquarters decided to make a march out of the boy. So we went right to work, putting out handbills and holding open air meetings. In less than a half hour after we started, there was a race riot at 125th Street, complete with smashing windows of white storekeepers, looting, and all the rest. I'm not speaking of things I read about. These are things I personally participated in.
So what happens? So what happens when another kid get killed, like Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown? They get out here and march, man. They get out here and get all these protesters going. Let's walk.
As it was in Cuba, so it was in Algeria. And so it is in the United States. In Jackson, Mississippi, Medgar Evers, State Field Secretary for the NAACP, was shot in the back by an unknown assassin as he was entering his home. After lying in state in Mississippi, the body of World War II infantry GI Medgar Evers was sent to Washington, D.C. for burial in Arlington National Cemetery.
They killed that nigga.
Now a victim of the very communist agitation he had helped promote, Medgar Evers was able to further serve communist purposes by being glorified as a martyr in the supposed...
I want to make this clear, too. This civil rights movement was an Indian civil rights movement. Let's be clear. There wasn't no fight for no Africans or none of that stuff because they was the immigrants coming in here. This was a fight for Indians, and this was all an inclusion and reclassification to confuse the indigenous population here, so they can hold the land because what you don't know will hurt you. Shit.
Fight of the Negro people for freedom and justice. Medgar Evers' remains were buried with full military honors and nationwide news coverage. As it was in Cuba, so it was in Algeria. And so it is in the United States. Mysterious bombings by assailants unknown plague the lives and property of the Negro people and serve to intimidate those who might speak out against the conspirators. The bombing of this Birmingham, Alabama church claimed the lives of 4 little girls attending Sunday school. A memorial service was held in Washington, D.C. for the 4 young victims, after which the mourners demonstrated their grief before the White House and the press. A martyr that rallied the sympathies of the nation was the lovely Viola Gregg Liuzzo, who was shot to death while driving between Selma and Montgomery, Alabama, with a Negro civil rights worker. The American press told their shocked readers of her 5 children and husband, and her righteous zeal for justice that caused her to go to Alabama to help the American Negro gain the right to vote. This photo of Mrs. Liuzzo, taken during the Selma to Montgomery march and just prior to her death, points up the fact that the press failed to mention that the photo used to gain the sympathies of the nation was a high school photo taken almost 20 years earlier. That her 5 children were by 3 husbands. And that her name had been removed from Michigan's eligible voter list in accordance with state law because she had not used her voting privilege for 6 years.
We were taught how to use propaganda, how to arouse the emotion of the masses. We learned how to set one group against the other and to make them hate each other. We learned to be sensitive having martyrs, and we're even told how to create our own martyrs if they didn't automatically result from the atmosphere of hatred.
Divide the people, then create the appearance of popular support. And if any of the alert, informed citizens call attention to the true revolutionary goals behind the humanitarian slogans, move into phase 3 and neutralize the opposition.
Paul, that's important to know. What they need to know what that means. Divide the people and create popular support. Popular support means who has the support, who's popular, who's hot, who's the guy that's hot, who's not. So you're seeing popular support, right? Donald Trump, all these people with their followers and gatherers. My right is the way. I'm the man. Look what they, and I just want to show that popular support is who can gather the people, who's the most popular. You know, it's a popularity contest, man. All in the constructs of the manifesto.
One effective way to neutralize any opposition is to liquidate it. In the summer of 1965, a respected Negro farmer in Alabama dared to speak out critically against the civil rights revolutionaries. In this cabin in late August, 87-year-old Perry Smaw struggled with an assailant who said he had come to get Perry's tongue. The aged Negro's skull was crushed with a cast-iron frying pan, the attacker striking with such force that the skillet was broken. Then the intruder pulled Perry's tongue from his mouth and with a butcher knife cut it off all the way back to the old man's tonsils. Perry Smaw, the man who dared defy the conspirators, died 6 days later. In China, Cuba, and Algeria, terror was also a most effective weapon in intimidating and neutralizing the opposition. And there's another, even more widely used method of neutralizing and paralyzing opposition to communism's conquests.
We can and must write in a language which sows among the masses hate, revulsion, and scorn toward those who disagree with us.
Members and front organizations must continually embarrass, discredit, and degrade our critics. When obstructionists become too irritating, label them as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic. Constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind.
By duping the American public into turning a deaf ear to the voices of warning because the topics were controversial or because the patriots themselves had been ridiculed as extremists, racists, fright peddlers, the conspirators were ready to move one step closer to their hidden goals by precipitating mob violence.
Riots, demonstrations, street battles, detachments of a revolutionary army. Such are the stages in the development of the popular uprising.
The Communist Party will educate and organize the working masses for mass strikes and mass demonstrations. It is through struggles that the working masses are prepared for the final conflict for power. As these strikes grow in number and intensity, they acquire political character through unavoidable collision and open combat with the capitalistic state. Mass action culminates in insurrection and civil war.
You've been studying history, studying civics, but right now you got to put your history and your civics in the streets. You got to make the Constitution real. You got to make democracy real. Since 1960, since February the 1st, 1960, more than 50,000 of your fellow students have been arrested and jailed, beaten, faced police doors and water hoses. Before we see real freedom, before we be able to walk down these streets with a sense of dignity and with a sense of pride and walk in freedom, no doubt there will be more jailings, more beating, more water hoses, more dogs.
The other thing is this: we are determined that this city will not celebrate its quadricentennial as a segregated city. If that celebration takes place, we plan to use everything within our power and all of the nonviolent weapons at our disposal to dramatize this blatant injustice and to demand that the federal government not put a cent in this city unless it decides to face the realities of desegregation.
Right time, when Martin Luther King said march, we're going to have our marching shoes.
Y'all ready to march? We're going to march on y'all, marching shoes.
And you know they've kicked us around a long time, haven't they? Yeah. And so many of us we've come up in life without any shoes at all. And if it becomes necessary for us to march without shoes, we'll march barefooted. I don't like the way you're clapping tonight. Are you ready to march? Are you ready to march?
We'll organize our own march.
Then we are not afraid of dogs. Are we, children? So many of us, we were raised up with dogs. And we have had to live the life of dogs right here in the United States of America. want you to raise your hand high tonight. Everybody that's ready to march, raise your hand high. Raise it high. Are you ready to march? Are you ready to march? If you're ready to march, I want you to raise both of your hands above your head. I want you to stand up on your feet. Keep your hands high. Now bring them together and clap them together. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody.
Them songs don't make you want to fight. They make you want to love. See Martin Luther.
And so many were tricked into helping create the appearance of popular support for a conspiracy that hid its true objectives behind appealing slogans and humanitarian goals. A detachment of the deceived staged sit-ins. A handful of the hoaxed made freedom rides. A portion picketed and protested, while still others boycotted buses. And then more of the deluded mobs marched and demonstrated. As it was in Cuba, where the leaders of the humanistic revolution marched with arms locked in camaraderie, so it is in the United States, where the leaders of the freedom movement march with arms locked in brotherhood. As it was in Cuba, where the comrades marched arm in arm to shouts of Venceremos, so it is in the United States, where the brothers march to the strains of We Shall Overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday.
In 1965, Martin Luther King explained the purposes of the marches and demonstrations as follows. The goal of the demonstrations in Selma, as elsewhere, is to dramatize the existence of injustice and to bring about the presence of justice by methods of nonviolence. Long years of experience indicate to us that Negroes can achieve this goal when four things occur. First, nonviolent demonstrations go into the streets to exercise their constitutional rights. Second, racists resist by unleashing violence against them. Third, Americans of conscience, in the name of decency, demand federal intervention and legislation. Fourth, the administration, under mass pressure, initiates measures of immediate intervention and remedial legislation.
Ready to march with them. I didn't hear from everybody. Are you ready to march?
As Martin Luther King said, demonstrators staged a huge march on Washington, D.C. to dramatize their demands. They staged demonstrations across the country. And as Martin Luther King said, violence was unleashed. Then, accordingly, the federal government intervened and a vicious legislative step on the road to tyranny was enacted in the form of the Civil Rights Bill of 1964.
Their cause must be our cause, too. Because it's not just Negroes, but really it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice.
Hear what he just said, right? He said, it's not, it's everybody. It's not that. This is the plan all along. To show the people, to get the people to think, and then just to implement in this boom funding for everybody.
And we shall overcome.
Now we mean business. Are you ready to march with us?
As Martin Luther King said, the demonstrators staged a huge march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, to dramatize their demands. They staged demonstrations across the country. And as Martin Luther King had said, violence was unleashed against them. Then, accordingly, the federal government intervened, and still another vicious legislative step toward tyranny was enacted in the form of the Voting Rights Bill of 1965.
Towards tyranny.
And these enemies, too, poverty, disease, and ignorance, we shall overcome.
Truth shall make us free. Truth shall make us free.
I broke away from the party when it became clear to me what the communists were really up to was to use the Negro people of this country as cannon
Tell them,
fodder.
Leonard.
And a
That's Big
violent
Leonard.
and bloody
Get 'em.
revolution aimed at the establishment of
He ain't
an
got married
American
yet.
Soviet dictatorship.
Yeah. Yeah, Leonard, tell him. He letting it be known.
These are spells, bro. Like you said, look at that sound.
It was to be a communist revolution. But the great majority of the
What is that
American
doing sitting there
people
singing in the
would
motherfucking
not
circle?
be allowed to realize that until it had already happened. If all goes according to the communist blueprint, Americans will believe that the chaos and violence has something to do with civil rights.
Make no mistake about it. What is happening in the United States
There you
right
go.
now under the banner of civil rights is exactly what has happened in China, in Cuba, in Algeria, and in many other places around the world.
The goal of the international communist conspiracy
They got the world.
is
Check 'em out.
world domination.
Wow.
They have thus far been highly successful in accomplishing the step-by-step objectives necessary for reaching that goal. In the United States, the communist plans call for two revolutions at once. A revolution of a supposedly oppressed proletariat or working class against a capitalistic
The
system that is
USSR,
supposed to
United
breed
States
wage
Republic.
slavery, unemployment, poverty, crises, and war. The second revolution is a revolt of the supposedly poor and oppressed Negroes of the Black Belt against the supposed lynching, segregation, social ostracism, and exploitation of the white man. Currently, what the communists call their Negro revolutionary movement, now masquerading behind the humanitarian banners of civil rights, is contributing tremendous momentum to the communist plans to take over the United States. Divide the people. Get them fighting among themselves rather than their common enemy. Create the appearance of popular support through a favorable press and the use of terror, intimidation, and the creation of martyrs. Make the world believe the revolution is a popular one, particularly among those being liberated. Neutralize the opposition. When obstructionists to the cause become too irritating, label them as fascist, Nazi, anti-Semitic, extremist, racist, controversial. Precipitate mob violence. Get the mobs into the streets. March and demonstrate. As the demonstrations grow in number and intensity, they will acquire political character through the desired collision and open combat with the forces of law and order. Since mass action culminates in insurrection and civil war, what of the fifth principle of the communist strategy? Create the semblance of revolution.
Had not this rotten, fascist, racist cop, lieutenant, that killed a young Powell boy, had he not killed the boy very well might have died in South Vietnam in the name of freedom. Could have very well have died in South Vietnam in the name of freedom. In the name of freedom.
I mean South Vietnam in the name of freedom. What that mean? What that mean? What that mean, bro?
Probably talk about the Vietnam War.
But why you say probably would have died in South Vietnam in the name of freedom?
Well, right, fighting for the United States in the Vietnam War.
For freedom for who? Us?
I mean, put it together. Whatever we thought our interest in Vietnam would be, man. Whatever they had us up under, the manifesto.
Right, it's for freedom.
Right.
I guess. Right.
I was also
you got to go
asked to
fight
tell
for
you
your
not to
freedom.
get your passion so high, not to get too worked up. However, I think many of us are going to have to choose where we're going to die at. Where are we going to die at? We're going to have to decide whether we're going to die on the streets of the United States or in South Vietnam. I would choose the United States myself. I would choose the United States myself.
From Havana, Cuba, free territory of the Americas. Radio Free Victory invites you to listen to the free voice of the South. Stay with us for music, news, and commentary by Robert F. Williams.
Robert F. Williams, a fugitive wanted by the state of North Carolina and the Justice Department, broadcasts weekly revolutionary messages beamed into the United States from Cuba.
We shall take the torch of freedom and justice into the streets of America, and we shall set the last great stronghold of Yankee imperialism ablaze with our battle cry of freedom. Freedom now or death. For our people.
But hold on. See, this is where it gets messed up. This is what I need to be. Look, this is what they need to be told. This is a dude running. You in Cuba doing this, partner. You speaking in Cuba from a distance with this manifesto. So this is where I'm getting. They be using these foreign assimilation countries to continue these manifestos from afar. You in Cuba though. I just wanted to throw that out, man. Why you speaking in Cuba, man? You probably ain't gonna bust a grape through Cuba, but you putting this rhetoric out here all the way to Cuba. Go ahead, sir.
States through Canada, the revolutionist Williams tells the Negroes of this nation, we must be willing to suffer jail. We must be willing to suffer death. We must be willing to kill for freedom.
But you in Cuba.
Gestapo policemen on every street corner. It's just like Mississippi, and I predict things are going to grow worse. In fact, I think policemen are going to be dead before this situation is over.
No, they're not. Watch this.
During the summers of 1964 and 1965, the demonstrations became riots, finally culminating in the worst race riot in this nation's history in the Watts district of Los Angeles.
That's out there where you at, homie?
Across the United States, law enforcement officers were dead, and Negroes did die in the streets, and the situation was far from over. 7 days after the rioting broke out in Watts, a new newspaper started publication, the voice of all the oppressed and exploited. Calling for the workers of the world to unite, this new voice of the people declared that
all the people of the U.S. who oppose U.S. imperialism wish to thank the Communist Party of China and the Chinese people for their pledge of support for the people of Los Angeles in their struggle against U.S. imperialism.
In keeping with communist principles and expectations, the atmosphere of hatred generated in the Watts riot resulted in 32 martyrs for the cause of liberation.
In their memory, we pledge to destroy U.S. imperialism.
In 1928, and again in 1934, and still again in 1965, we hear
the Negro people constitute a nation in the black belt of the South.
And lest there should be any misunderstanding, Nobel Peace Prize winner Martin Luther King followed the example of Lenin Peace Prize winner Fidel Castro and Lenin Peace Prize winner Ben Bella and protested that I am sick and tired of people saying this movement has been infiltrated by communists and communist sympathizers. There are as many communists in this freedom movement as there are Eskimos in Florida. In the past hour, we have offered only a brief survey of the material that's available to support the charge that the civil rights movement, as we know it today, is simply part of a worldwide movement organized and directed by communists to enslave all mankind. There are hundreds of additional witnesses and thousands of additional facts to testify to the communist involvement in the American civil rights movement. But the limitations of time prevent their inclusion here. We urge you to continue your studies of these unpleasant truths and gain a more complete understanding of the conspirators' plans to subjugate the United States. Begin by reading It's Very Simple, The True Story of Civil Rights by Alan Stang, The Civil Rights Packet, and the other books and pamphlets on civil rights that are available from one of the American opinion libraries across the nation. We also urge you to resolve first that you will not fall victim to the communist plot to set race against race, American against American. And second, that you will now join with other patriots in a positive program and concerted action to save for our children and their children this which we ourselves inherited.
Bullshit, get that shit out of here. You see that shit, man? That's tough, man.
That's tough.
I got to what you call it, do. You know, think we fucking around.
Go ahead, build on it.
Just the manifesto right here. This is the Communists and the Negro Party. This is document. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. I don't know if I can zoom in on it. Oh, how it's showing the screen? It's show pretty good. Let's go to it. This is the monograph of the study of the relations between the Communist Party USA and the Negro people in the United States, and is a supplement to a previous monograph, The Communist Party and the Negro, which covered the period between 1919 and 1952. The present volume embraces the 1953 to 1956 period and has been compiled from public source and confidential and secret material. This is J. Edgar Hoover, ain't it? That's what it's saying? Dwight Eisenhower? Oh, who's that? Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover. Right. So, the summary is the Communist Party USA, despite its concentrated effort, has failed to attract even a significant minority of Negroes in the United States to this program. This is when they backing out, I think, right? What we gonna say? This is at the time when you can say they about to back out from the movement, because like
Right.
They got away from it because I think they seen it didn't work the way they thought it would. You know what I'm saying? It's just I don't think it went down the way they planned it because they was really trying to get what they were getting was, I believe they were coming in and trying to get this movement to take over. You see what I'm saying? Like to take over, to be so they can come in. You see what I'm saying? It's like because they seem like they go through and try to cause it and then try to get the people and fund the sides, and whatever side win is where they go to. You see what I'm saying? So they never lose. So it's like you fund both sides, you get this side in debt and you get this side in debt, and then whichever side is the winner, you just gather on that side. So you never be the loser as long as you're in the middle. You see what I'm saying? And so I don't think it worked out because they was trying to get the I think they were trying to get to take the country. I think the communist movement was in the South was trying to get the Negroes in the South to take the country. You see what I'm saying? To take the country. Or I mean, what do you think? Tell me what you think. What do you think?
Well, I look at it. I just take it from where I always try to jump and show that what was going on when all this shit fell apart. How about this? Okay, go 69. 67 King get killed. 67 to 69 King get killed. 1969, I think King get killed. A few leaders out here in LA got killed. You know, so we start seeing one of the leaders got locked up, Geronimo Pratt. He get locked up for murder at UC that he didn't do. So a lot of stuff was happening. And I think, like you said, from us growing up and seeing what we saw in the 70s, we saw that after the because think about after the Communist Manifesto, basically after those assassinations, you figure we went into the 70s. Vietnam was kind of over. Now we talking, what's the next new thing? We finna exploit pimping and drug dealing. And that's what we talked about, those movies of the black exploitation. See, exploitation is part of the manifesto. So we ushered in perception, and they used the exploitation perception to get us. Well, the generations that was already like 19, 20, you know, that generation. And that was with the movies of Superfly and the Mac. So after this, because this is real prevalent, this ain't like no pseudo this is a real walk of what was the next paradigm for them to use the manifesto. Well, it was for the streets now it's dope, junkie, pimping, and the struggle. Curtis Mayfield made I'm Your Pusher. So there go your dope, there go your gangster rap on 2 bags. I'm your brother, I'm your dude. I'm that.
My family from his family from the same spot.
Yeah, right.
So I'm gonna just read this right real quick. So because it was exactly what you're saying. It's like it says, while this attempt to practice this policy of agitation and propaganda among the Negroes on a nationwide basis, the majority of its attention is devoted to those Negroes living in the southern states. This has been particularly evident during the past year, and in that the party has concentrated upon organizing the organized workers in the South, especially those of the Negro race. It strives to promote its aims through Negro Communist Front organizations and by infiltrating and controlling legitimate Negro groups. One of its chief difficulties has been and continues to be the problem of white chauvinism, i.e. supremacy of the white race. So they're saying that the problem is the chauvinism and the white supremacy race. It says one of its chief difficulties has been and continues to be the problem of the white chauvinism, i.e. supremacy of the white race. At the present time, it can be stated that along with the decline of the national membership of the Communist Party USA, the party has experienced an increasingly greater decline percentage-wise in its Negro membership. So motherfuckers backing out this paradigm. The basic program of the Communist Party USA in relations of the Negro to the Negro in the United States from 1928 to 1956 was defined in its 2 slogans: equal rights and self-determination. This is the main slogans of this party, you know, and the Negroes. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Did you know that it's the communism that's equal rights? Moving Negro freedom. Okay, let's see what they're talking about. The Supreme Court decision May 17.
You know, y'all had Zelensky up there in Illinois. So Zelensky, he was pushing the manifesto up there in Illinois.
Right. The Supreme Court decision of May 17, 1954, during outlawing segregation in public schools in the United States, it regarded by the Communist Party as a decisive victory for the Negro race, and the party has attempted to implement and exploit the enforcement of desegregation in every possible way. The case most widely publicized by the communist press and the respect for the authoring J. Lucy. So this was their work. Desegregation was the communists' work. It also exploited alleged murdered Negro youth in Mississippi. This case was opportunity to further agitation and propaganda. So they exploited this shit. This is talking about this is talking about Buddy Whistling. What's his name? From the shop from up north.
Who you talking about,
Emmett
sir?
Till.
From up
Emmett
north?
Till. Emmett Till.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're talking about. Ain't that the case right there?
You can look at it like that. Heck yeah. Put it together.
It says the Communist Party has also exploited the alleged murder of a Negro youth in Mississippi, using this case as an opportunity to further its agitation and propaganda campaign.
That's Emmett Till.
What year was Emmett Till? Around the same time?
I would say, I think Till was like 40, 50 something. But it's around that same time to start up. He came down there, I want to say 52 or 53. Somebody get it up for us in the chat. But I think
around the same time. This is part of this is during that time. So this is key. This is when they exploited this is part of their game. One of the main points in the Communist Party program is the struggle for equal rights for Negroes in an attempt to increase Negro representation.
They did it
in executive legislation.
Also, they just to throw it in, they did Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, all that. Keep walking.
Mm-hmm. And the party also is conducting a struggle on a nationwide basis to its main emphasis in the southern states where Negro representation is disproportionate according to population. So they're trying to get people in Congress, trying to get their people in the legislation because it's all behind the agenda, and they don't understand the agenda. So if this paradigm is pushing for leave us alone, equal rights, desegregation. So what's the end goal? Right? Why are they fighting for this? Because people don't realize what they are. If the Communist Party is pushing for desegregation and it's hurting the people that they're doing it for, because the people that they're doing it for are the inhabitants of the land that they're doing it. You see what I'm saying? So by pushing for equal opportunity, it can include the rest of the world into a land that people don't realize is their home. It's just like on the streets, like, bro, I'm not going to let you come, on my block, bro. You know what I mean? Come on now. You just got over here, family. Nobody didn't even know you. But now you look at the communities right now, and especially I'm in Indiana, South Bend. It ain't even no Americans that own no business. Not just black people. They no gas stations. White people don't own no gas stations up here. Black people don't own none either. The stores, the JJ's, the fish, the black people don't own that shit. Arabs own it. I mean, shout out to them, but they the ones getting over here and owning it. But now they handed it to the Mexicans. It's not to the even Americans. It's because equal opportunity. But to hold the people down on the lands, they don't have anywhere to go. So I get the game because so by the people that's being here, we don't give you opportunities. We give the people that come over here opportunities. So the people that's here, we're gonna have to figure it out, black or white, because we don't have a place to go. So you know what I'm saying? Because we don't have our roots. I mean, people that immigrated here, they here now, and they can't go home. They don't know nobody there. So by implementing these programs, and the people that come here get the benefit, the people that's here just gonna have to deal with it. You see what I'm saying? And then they looking at like, shit, you need to get off and get your shit together, because we came over here, but the whole time we can't even get the loans for the shit.
Right. And watch this. there's two races that's classified in North America, black and white, right? We're gonna use color per se.
Yeah, color. Go ahead, crayon. Go ahead.
Now watch this. What if I come from Croatia? What did that make me into the Americas? What color? So, but I'm a Croatian. Let's stay with me. I'm Croatian. I'm Lithuanian. I come from Bulgaria. Matter of fact, I come from Indonesia. No, how about Malaysia? Nah, I want to be a Taiwanese. Let me watch this, because this is important. That I'm a Taiwanese. I'm from Fiji, or I come from Uzbekistan. Now stay with me. But when I come to the Americans, what am I? But I have a country. You don't. If in that sense, you guys that's indigenous like myself, we're indigenous. So we, like you just said, that's key. We can't go nowhere. We from here. So the hijack or the Benny Hill game is being played on us. It's going over our head and it's right in our face. It's right in our face. Because like you just, and I land, like the people you just said that's migrating over here, okay, they go get Nebraska, such and such Nebraska. Now they run in Nebraska. They just get a whole town. They get the tax break. They get the city, and they just because these would be assimilation of migrants. Now here go natives being on the land. Hell, we figuring out why we can't get nothing because because the manifesto is going over, is used against us and playing on our oppression, our whatever they trying to play on or whatnot. But it's a black and white construct of color.
It's basically like that. I'm beat your ass, and then we're gonna say we all should be equal. I come over to your house, beat everybody in the house, and then say everybody should fit in. We all should. Let's get along. This land is your land. This land is our land. There we go. I come over here, slap you in your house, and then say we all should be able to get along in here. That's basically what it is. But I slap you so hard, you don't even remember that it's your house, though. I slap you so hard, you don't remember this your house.
This is your house. And this is your house. And you got foreign invasions coming over here milking this shit, milking the country, and we sitting over here watching the cheese get ate by them, man. And we around here mad at each other. It's your fault. It's my fault because we in our land, we're not paying attention to what's on under our feet right here.
Right. That's what it is. The Communist Party of USA strongly opposes segregation in housing, pointing out that this is one of the issues around which Negro white unity can be built. That's you can't play that. Everybody gotta be together. Communists in the United States have attempted to infiltrate and gain control of legitimate Negro fraternal protests and improvement organizations. To date, the efforts have been unsuccessful on the state and national level, although there have been some instances where the Communist Party has gained some control of isolated chapters. They're trying to say that they didn't get in there, but they got their ass in there. You see what I'm saying? Negro fraternal and protest and improvement organization. It says,
shout out to the panel, man. Shout out to the panel, man. You rocking with B Nose, aka Reginald Stalin. I run this stuff. I run the country. I'm part of the Kremlin. Yeah, I'm the Black Kremlin. Nah, let's go. But let's walk. Nah, this is good. Keep reading though, sir. This is important.
This is the table of contents. We're gonna go in here. Let's see various aspects of Negro question of the day. Internal aspect: Negro fight for peaceful coexistence. Negro self-determination. Let's go to that. See, that page 7, I think it was.
Yeah, I can't get over old poor Leonard. Poor Leonard said we was taught proper slogan. What's proper slogan? I like that.
Numerous reasons can be adduced to explain the failure of the Communist Party of USA. In spite of its almost overwhelming efforts to attract even a significant minority of the American Negro population to its program, probably the most obvious is the realization by the Negro, as well as the vast majority of Americans, is that the constant shifts in the Communist Party line are determined by the needs of the Soviet Union and not by any factor intrinsic to the American way of life or by the party's interest in Negro welfare. Other reasons more specifically applicable to the Negro include the Communist Party's previous espousal of a theory that of self-determination. I think they changed whatever this is right here. Why that look like that? They changed whatever that is. It's of self-determination, which is too similar to segregation for Negroes. In spite of the Negroes' deep-rooted desire for total equality within the American society, its severe criticism of influential Negro clergymen, particularly during the late 1920s and early 1930s, its inability to justify Russia's aid to Italy when the latter invaded Ethiopia, its subversion of the Negro Congress, which originally showed promise of becoming an important Negro improvement organization. Its activities during World War II, when it admittedly soft-pedaled its fight for Negro rights, and the opposition of influential non-communist Negroes and Negro organizations. The fact that the activities of the Communist Party USA are motivated not by the desire to improve the status of the Negro in our society, but to exploit the legitimate Negro grievances for furtherance of the communist aims is clearly evidenced by instructions issued by the party to its members as early as 1925 and repeated applied since then. It says, the aim of our party and our work among the Negro masses is to create powerful proletariat movement which will fight and lead to the struggle of Negro race against exploitation and oppression in every form, and which will be a militant part
exploitation
of a revolutionary movement of the whole American working class to strengthen the American Revolution movement by bringing into is the 11.5 Negro workers and farmers in the United States to broaden the struggle of the American Negro workers and farmers. Whoa, okay. To strengthen the American Revolutionary movement by bringing into it the 11.5 million Negro workers and farmers in the United States to broaden the struggle of American Negro workers and farmers, connect them with the struggle of national minorities and colonial people of all of the world, and thereby further the cause of world revolution and dictatorship of the proletariat.
That's tough.
It's an international party held a conference of Asian African people and Asian and African peoples at Bangdug, Indonesia, 1955, as marking the march forward of the once subjugated people of Asia and Africa as one of the decisive world forces that led to the constructive conference of the Big Four recently in Geneva. American communists believe that the movement for Negro freedom in the United States merges with the struggle for colonial and darker peoples of the Far East, as well as Africa. Why, as well as of Africa? That should have been the first name they said, right? They said the darker people as well as Africa. Like, oh, let's not forget about them too. The little bit y'all got out there. Right. It should have been the first. I think that's like because they, me, I don't think that we really come from Africa, but okay. I'm talking about not us, but people, black people, period. I think they lying about that, but I know we don't. But against the common enemy, Wall Street imperialism. The New World, so dramatically united historic band that conference represents the irresistible force in the world affairs. So it's like we trying to fight for niggas all over the world.
Think about it. Stay right there. That's the dark
Negro
people.
communist leader. Look at this. Claude Lightfoot, Negro communist leader in Illinois, convicted under the Smith Act. Ooh, I'm gonna look him up. What'd you say? Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just gonna throw that in when it's saying about the dark. Those are the melanated tribes all over the world, man.
Mm-hmm.
Them islands, see people like to lock the Asiatics, man.
Mm-hmm.
Them people in the Malaysian islands don't say that they Asiatic. They say that they tribes are melanated. Go to Papua New Guinea. Them people are melanated. Them are folks, man. But people shit on them because of the phenotype of the assimilation with the Chinese when China went over there.
Most people don't even know about the Negro Islands, bro. The Negro Island. Right. Google Negro Island. It's gonna show you. It's a few of them though. It's one in Louisiana. Right. It's one on the East Coast, but the real one is over there in the Philippines.
Right.
It's a Negro Island. It's called. Half of it is Oriental and Occidental, I think it's called. I don't know the other word, but one half of the island is Oriental, and the other half is something else, and it's called Negro Island. You can look this shit up.
Melanated folk.
Yeah, Melanated Island, Negro Island.
Right.
That place got taken down around 1540 something, 1530 something, right? And I say it's pretty funny because the story is Christopher Columbus, 1492. He went the wrong way, right? And then 20 years later, they took another trip and took this island over, but they went the right way. And so, I mean, that's bullshit. But like, they colonized the whole world. I think they put the times on this bullshit. But yeah, these people, they don't call themselves this. They call themselves their family. They got this construct over here, just like in Africa. Them people don't call themselves Africans. You know what I'm saying? They call them their people, their family, they have a tribe they in over there. They don't know nothing about the constructs over here. This shit is political terminology to confuse us, to make us be shit. I'm this.
Right. And stay right there. Think about this. Open this up. Now, this is 2023. Stay with me. Okay. What will make now real fast? I used to look at the National Geographics and know about all these other countries. First time I really started paying attention to melanated folks over there when they was in was it Papua New Guinea. They went and did a expedition on cannibalism, man eating people down there, headhunters, and they was melanated tribes in the Papua New Guinea. So the explorers, one of the things I remember them asking them how they survive in this climate. They living off. They showed them they eat leaves, they hunt, they fish. They was basically, and they just live in tribal. They don't get sick, and and then they also went to the cannibal tribe. They just headhunt you, eat. It was Papua New Guinea, another part of the island. But saying that to say, and I land, bruh, the Malaysian 2023, the islands, I'm quite sure, are different now, monetized and colonized due to construction, influx of other countries and interests in their islands. So now they got embassies over there, school, get all that. But we talking about an island that sits on an island on its own. Jakarta, Indonesia, Malaysian islands. Then you swing over here to Tahiti, and then you swing over here to what is Hawaii, and then you swing up under what is South America. You kind of cross over to where it's the Fiji Islands. You had Polynesians, the Polynesian folks. You have melanated folks all on these lands and these islands. So what happens is, as a merchant or a sailor, we go hit up the Malaysian islands. So if we hitting up on the islands and we coming in good intent, we're gonna do some good business, because what interest do I have on this island? Why, in essence, what I'm pulling up for? Now, if I'm here to do some good business, yes. Now, if I see women and the takeover, what's next. They go to
Check this out right here. Check this out. Okay.
Let's go.
I'm trying to walk this slow. It says the fight for the peaceful coexistence. It says the Communist Party USA, for the past several years has stressed the struggle for peace as one of the most important tasks for the communists in the country, as well as through the whole world. Subsequent to the July 1955 Conference for Foreign Ministers of the United States, France, Great Britain, and the USSR, held in Switzerland, the party re-emphasized the possibility of a peaceful coexistence between the United States and Soviet Union. The conference itself, in the party's analysis, was the turning point and represented the beginning of the end of the Cold War.
That's tough.
What does the Negro Party in the South have to do with the Cold War? What does the Negro Party, Communist Party, have anything to do with the Cold War, my dude? What's going on? So, I mean, we really don't know what the Cold War was all about. Remember, come to find out, they was all allies. Through this whole time, Russia has been our ally. We've never had a conflict or anything. Russia has always been, we fight wars with Russia. World War I and II was with Russia. So the beginning of the end of the Cold War has something to do with the Negro Communist Party in the South? Let's talk about it. I don't get that. I don't understand that. In connection with his role for the Negro in his fight for peace, the Communist Party recognizes the Negro people exerts considerable strength in the fight for peace, especially in the context of its most direct and immediate concern, the fight for civil rights. The party feels that the Negro can be no successful effort. It says there can be no successful effort to involve great masses of the Negro people in the fight for peace, which does not take the struggle as its starting point. The party further believes that the second specific aspect of Negro people's participation in the fight for peace is the special importance of the struggle against colonialism. Vast possibilities exist to enlist the mass of Negro people in a mounting struggle to reverse the Dulles policy of military alliance in the Middle East and South Asia, and substitute for its policy of national freedom and peaceful coexistence and vast plan of economic assistance without strings to underdeveloped countries in Asia and Africa.
That's tough.
Like, it's like we're talking about us over here and civil rights over here, but in the same breath, we're talking about Asia and the Middle East and people over there. And then remember, I was talking about we fighting for freedom. We're gonna fight for freedom. We're gonna die here or over there in the name of freedom. I thought we was over there fighting some other shit, but it's for freedom. But us too. You see what I'm saying? Them the homies too, though.
Right. And stay with me, because see, that's what it is. Where the Asiatic melanated folks on these lands, because again, sir, all those islands, the Malaysian islands,
Japan,
and all,
Japan.
Yes.
Germany too. The assimilation of Germany. Mike statue in Germany, goddamn, in Berlin, ain't it? Mike got a statue in Berlin, ain't it? I'm saying it's like we fucking around.
Germany.
Where we fucking around over there, and at the same time we fighting them too. And then we saying dude talking about we fighting for freedom over here and there too. Like it's a whole narrative that's not being told about us and assimilating with the peoples around the world. That's what I'm saying. There's a further connection, I think.
Because now jump this. If you can stretch this. In the 1800s, what was the yellow man? The yellow man was over here and they was persecuting them. So why not jump in the 60s that they folks got they over there probably sending money to their peoples. You had Japanese people over here in concentration camps, man. They was blamed for Pearl Harbor. See, so now watch, you'll catch this. So there's an assimilation of Asians already in the lands. Let's stop it. Now watch this. So, of course, 30 years later, we talking 50s and 60s. Hey, man, they watching the war on our people. Well, I got interest. I sent money back to Philippines. I sent money back to Manila. Mind you, if you got trafficked over here in the 1800s, okay, you got your freedom. You fought for you got reconstructed. You got some land. See, let's talk, man. You got those benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So here go you getting money. Now merchants. Now watch this in our land, because this is key. The Asiatic. Okay, let's even go to the 1800s. China was over here, partner. Now watch this. They was getting the gold. They was mining up in Frisco, so they had the mineral game. Okay, y'all know where to drop. Go up west. They got the gold. So China, they was setting up, and also they had the Silk Road, and they was dope boys pushing the opium. See, because the Brits and the opium, they over there fighting them. Marco Polo, them know. That's why they said Marco Polo. Marco was the expedition, but Marco coming like, let's say, if they was to send Kevin Hart or Leonardo, an actor, go talk to. Okay, I send Dennis to go talk to Kim. Hold tight. Let me laugh, sir. Hold tight. Let's get some. Yeah, let's try. Yeah, hold on.
But at the same time too, they got Madam C.J. Walker. I got the pictures and showing East Indian girls.
Right.
To grow hair. They call they grow hair. I'm shit the whole time. They shit niggas come from horses. They C.J. Walker. She trying to get
So here go interest that Asian people had.
India too. We talking about the Middle East and India. Okay, hold on. Catch this. Check this out. Remember the minister name, Malaysia, they were talking about Asiatic black man, right? Asiatic black man. We talking about East Indian, or they calling the black girls East India. Now we look at the lands. Look at now the desecrated lands over in India, in the Middle East, and then in Asia. You see what I'm saying? And we fighting Asia, and we fighting them, and then they calling these people black Asiatic or Asiatic black man in India. what they're
That's
talking
tough.
about. That's, I mean, that could be a flip. You know, we're gonna do a land build on them. You know, I got some shit coming up soon. Matter of fact, I might do that motherfucker tomorrow. I'm gonna do my
Because
walk. We're
think
gonna
about
walk
it. Stay
the
right
land.
there. Oh, absolutely, man. We got some work, man. We just getting started, man. Hey, listen. Think about it. Who was this? Who was the martyr in the 1910s and 20s? What was the paradigm in India? Gandhi. Let me get Gandhi going. Hold on, man. Let me get Gandhi in this.
Right.
Here
Go
go.
ahead.
Here go Gandhi, man. Gandhi, the guy that said, "Okay, enough of all this. I'm gonna sit down and meditate." I don't mean to laugh because I laugh at some of this stuff. Maybe Gandhi was part of the manifesto. Okay, Gandhi, you go against the establishment. We gonna get behind you. We get you to the Americas. You know, we go blow you up. I'm gonna laugh. Gandhi, but Gandhi was the talking for India. Gandhi stepping up. So here go Martin Luther King quoting Gandhi. See, so we don't know if Gandhi was part of the manifesto to stand up because think about it. You had T.E. Lawrence. I don't know if people familiar with T.E. Lawrence. T.E. Lawrence was a British spy. Now, T.E. Lawrence, they made the movie Lawrence of Arabia behind him, played by my boy Charlton. Yeah, old Charlton. Charlton. See, I know these actors, man. I'm from Hollywood, LA, man. So, yeah, Charlton Heston, I think. They're going to beat me up if I get this wrong, but I'm going to go on the limb. I think it was Charlton Heston who played Lawrence of Arabia. Anyhow, T.E. Lawrence wrote this book called Seven Pillars of Wisdom. And he already spoke of the manifesto, how the governments run. And even the story of Indiana Jones is kind of based off of a little bit of T.E. Lawrence work. Don't beat me up, panel, if I get this a little, but I think I'm quoting right because when you look at Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones, it's going back to India. All the relics, shit popping in India, some sacred shit. But saying that to say, T.E. Lawrence and I land, he went on to excavate over there. And he was speaking on a lot of the Arab tribes. He was infiltrating a lot of the they called the Bedouin. So he went on a pillage, and he made it far to India, to the Far East. And again, constructs and the movements. He spoke about how they was infiltrating a lot of them tribes and getting them to rise up against the government. So hey, India.
I got something for you right here. Check this out. I just caught this. In addition to advocating certain demands arising out of AFL-CIO convention, the Communist Party continues to man a policy of non-discrimination of Negroes in the industry. It claims that the Negroes in the great majority of cases are only able to obtain position as laborers, that there has been no gain in breaking the last to be hired, first to be fired pattern of discrimination against the Negro people. This particular true in the transport, garment, maritime, and electrical industries. Communists feel that special attention should be given to current efforts to squeeze Negro and Puerto Rican workers out of longshore and maritime. The main channel through which, so it was an effort to get Negro and the Puerto Rican workers out the waters. Why? Off the waters. Get them off the waters. Just keep them here.
Yeah, that's
Puerto
tough.
Rican workers. It's the Negro and Puerto Rican workers. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the ties we have to these lands because they broke those. You know what I'm saying? We thinking those are basically foreigners. You know, and this land is probably, you know what I'm saying? Like we thinking of these waters, bro. Now if you think about it, a hurricane probably wouldn't be effective in deep waters. It don't have a base for pressure. Ooh. So these lands is probably like the waters, they're not deep. They're just probably like a little bit of water. Because now if you think about a hurricane wouldn't be possible. No, I'm going to break that down. Now, I don't think a hurricane is even possible in deep waters, bro. Because of where's the pressure coming from? It will have to be underneath and the top. It's just over the top of the water.
That's tough.
It's got to be a base on the bottom, so it's on the ground. It's like on the probably feet of water. It could be in a few feet of water. I'm not saying it could be 6 feet of water. And then you tell me boats can't travel. Yeah, I see why a boat can't travel across the water, because it can't go that way, because it's not deep enough. But the lands could make it look like an ocean. Remember, Always was saying he could stand in the ocean. You can stand in the ocean,
right?
And so these lands, these people, is a more of a connection, because we was probably, you know what I'm saying, because the waters and the boundaries that we have that in the constructs today are here. I mean, probably wasn't there. They're talking about Puerto Ricans and Negroes like the assimilation. Like, shit, I thought that's a new assimilation in my lifetime with Puerto Rico, as far as them becoming a state and all of that. I'm thinking that assimilation is new here. This is 1950s, and they're talking about keep the Puerto Ricans and the niggas off the water. This goes to show you that the assimilation of people as us is way before and recent. It just pushes light in my, because I'm thinking Puerto Rico, I'm thinking it's newer to me personally. I didn't know that.
Yeah, sir. You got people in Guam, man. I'm from
Right,
Guam.
look at me. I'm a red motherfucker. I goddamn it. Yeah, goddamn it. You hear me? Rodriguez, goddamn it. You see what I'm saying?
Think about this. Remember what the hell the United States doing messing with Grenada? What's Grenada? Why y'all in Grenada? What's up with the people in Grenada? So this is a small island that took why the United States had to go take that. Like, what the hell's going on with Grenada, Guam? All these small little islands, man. These might have been some, like you said, people taking refuge to these lands and these islands, but was assimilated through melanated and tribes. Shit, hell, if you a rich dude, you go buy an island. Where your island at? Circular's Island. Cirque to go buy an island. They just say, Cirque, you can purchase an island in the Pacific. You go buy that thing if you got some money.
Look at the job nigga sign up. He go to colonize the job. He go to position. So one method by which the Communist Party hopes to advance its Negro program in the South is through its so-called colonization program. And it anticipates a very difficult struggle in that area, and the later part of the 1955 issued instructions that a number of people, both Negro and white, should be sent into the southern states where they are to obtain industrial jobs. These potential colonizers are to be childless couples, preferably between 21 and 34 years of age. Any person having a reputation as a radical or a communist will not be considered. Selections are to be made, at least in part, from party members presently active in the Labor Youth League. So the Labor Youth League.
Oh, that's tough.
So this is one of their shit. Labor Youth League, they trying to get party members out of there. Those individuals chosen are colonizers are instructed to remain in their new assignment or more or less permanent basis. Root themselves into their new jobs, and for the present conceal their communist tendencies. They will be concentrated in larger cities of the South, especially Birmingham, Memphis, and cities in Mississippi. These colonizers assigned to the textile industry are to be financed, if possible, through their own means or supported by their Communist Party district. The national office will, if necessary, defray any expenses. For a period of about 1 year, the colonizer is told to make no attempt to organize or recruit for the Communist Party, but to spend this time establishing himself in the community. He is to become active in church and civic affairs, thus establishing a good reputation in the community. He is not to have any open contact with the party in that area, nor to get a reputation as a party member or a sympathizer. By the end of the year, he is beginning to organize persons who he believes are progressive. Colonizers are expected to receive indoctrination courses prior to leaving for their assignments. It is reported that this colonization program has been started by the party, and that plans are being made to fix a certain quota of colonizers to be sent down south during 1956. Plans are also allegedly being made by the party to have a number of trustworthy youth members who are attending college transferred to college in the South to enable them to carry out party work. That's you talking about buddy with Martin Luther King. What's his name? Stokely Carmichael. Buddy. That's what they're talking about.
Right.
Youth League and all that shit, get them niggas in there. You know what I'm saying? 1950 Supreme Court of the United States decreed that.
Yeah, this is all that student nonviolent movements and funding.
This is one of them members, because he was agent. the public schools and basis of race, denial of constitutional rights. The doctrine of separate but equal facilities handed down by the court in 1896 was set aside on May 3rd. Decision stating principle previous, which okay. That's tough, man. Talking about how to get the people assimilating into the system, man. That's tough.
It's tough.
Who's the party though? This is the Democratic Party though. They're not saying this is this is the Democratic Party, bro. Because they saying the party don't fuck with the they ain't had no communist party. This had to be the Democrats, right?
Yep.
Because it wasn't no don't fuck. You know what I'm saying? This is Democrat.
It was the DNC. It was the DNC when the brother ran for
This tough. This is the Communist Party though.
The
Who fights
DNC.
civil rights in the 50s and 60s? The Democrats. So this is the system. Yeah, I know they take that with them. This is some shit that motherfucker can build on. Like them.
Say, man, you see it all the way up to what's my boy, Obama and Clinton.
Yeah.
All that right there is the environment. That's the manifesto. That's where the manifesto runs.
This is shit that motherfuckers can build in Trump supporters. The Republican, because this is them. This is the Democrat.
Well, sir, Illinois is the capital.
Right. Capital, communist capital. You goddamn right. Shit, you LA the capital. Goddamn it. California, nigga.
Don't put that on us. We're not the football out here, man.
That's the communist capital of the world. If we talking, this is the same shit as this is policies.
Two states versus 48. I don't know.
Give us one more. We put one more.
New York. We got New York, Chicago, and LA.
Everybody else. I'm not talking about they'll say it. Man, come on, man. They don't care about if long as they got them three, they straight. Enough money coming to them three states right there, them three cities, them three powers in this country. They straight.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep walking.
Illinois, who number one in farming? California. Number two, Illinois. Come on, man.
We tough.
Yeah.
So 3 against 47 states, man. We got California, Illinois, and New York versus 47 states. Can you think the 47 can win? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I think hey, but on the serious note, even the manifesto, you saw it with Hollywood, well, rather the social media, and I'll throw this in out there just to show how they played on the social media construct with the talk shows. Phil Donahue had the Conservative Party, and they ushered in Oprah in '86 with the, she come Mississippi all the way to where she go to the socialist movement, Chicago. So once she started with the energy in Chicago and getting people to talk about, she started the one where we're crossing over to talk about different things, racism, having the Klan on there and having all types of, talk shows. But see, saying that to say, Donahue had Farrakhan. See, nobody didn't take no. See, Donahue, that was the Conservative Party. Like, man, we're not afraid. We want to see what this man thinking. So constructs of parties assimilating to where it started to become the talk. I saw it with the Donahue movement having the conservative wing and Oprah having that socialist movement ring, because Chicago, they knew the energy was going to get behind her. Black woman, paradigm, all our mama. It was Oprah and the Cosby shows. You watching Oprah at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever, but then she go pseudo. Where they go, she come Hollywood. Hi, Oprah. Now she giving out cars. She pseudo. And here go to Usher and all these other chicks, and Phil, what's my boy Philip, Phil. What's the Phil? Dr. Phil. Yeah, old doctor.
Check it out. They breaking down. They breaking down their involvement in each of the cases in the 50s, right? Here go to bus boycott. Here go to Emmett Till. They talking about how they did their propaganda. This is the Communist Party of USA has placed the utmost emphasis on propagandizing the alleged murder of Emmett Louis Till. Till, a 14-year-old Negro from Chicago, Illinois, was reportedly kidnapped and murdered in Mississippi in August 1955. The 2 white men charged with his murder were acquitted after trial, and a grand jury later refused to indict them for kidnapping. The party, as well as its numerous front organizations, regard this case as an excellent opportunity to further its agitation and propaganda campaign among the Negroes. The party press has carried innumerable articles on the Till case and issued many pamphlets and leaflets regarding an invariable reference referring to the case as a Till lynching. In September 1950, it says referring to it as a Till lynching. In September 1955, the National Administration Committee of the party issued a memorandum to all districts regarding the Till lynching, pointing out that a marked increase of anti-Negro terror in the South should become the immediate concern of the entire party membership. I'm gonna stop right there. It says, see how this quotation, lynching. They're trying to say, I don't even think he got lynched. Did they have that? We see that, or they just said that because they propagandizing this shit. They said it's lynching. We're gonna go out and say, yeah, lynching, because that's gonna get niggas stirred up. In this connection, the party suggested develop a movement into the force of the Eisenhower administration to intervene in the Till case. 2, petition of city councils throughout the United States to urge the Attorney General to act. And 3, projecting the struggle into the preparation for the convening of Congress in 1956. The memorandum said that the above actions would necessitate hundreds and thousands of postcards, telegrams, letters, and petitions and resolutions to the president and the Attorney General from individuals and organizations. The savage lynching of the Till boy must be fought by militantly. This has already been well begun by many demonstrations and other activities. The whole American people should be aroused to the terrible outrage of this boy lynching. Not the least important, this case should be publicized all over the world. Abroad, too, it will be to get a powerful response from the democratic people who already thoroughly hate the U.S. Jim Crow system, which will its opposition, exploitation, and murder. This is the communists. This is Democrat. The Communist Party has attempted to enlist the support of the organization. So they're saying they're getting behind this shit. People don't like communism, but they like equal rights. People don't like communism, but they all think we all one. We all equal. We all this. They don't like communism though. Yeah, that's why they don't know. That's why I said they don't know what the fuck communism is. I think that's really powerful because they don't. This Democrat is communism, democracy. It's communism. The way you grow communism is not what communism has. I think they should take this. The motherfuckers take this shit. I didn't know it was actually. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. But this whole fight for this, civil rights and all this shit is communism manifesto, and that's democracy. It's Democrats. And you see right now to this day what the fuck the Democrats doing. Tearing our ass up. I've been telling people for years that even though I've been a racist Democrat, I tell people for years, man, shit, the policies and shit set forth that we live, the places that we usually live in are what the denomination, that's what we want. So I live in South Bend, but I'm in Indiana. Indiana's a red state, but I'm in a blue county. And this city in blue county, this is blue. That red shit don't got no play here because it don't matter. And so the people that has been running my life, I've always lived in the blue counties and shit. So the policies that's put in place for me here by putting by the constituents that we put in office, by the people that the people that we voted for. The Republicans don't give a fuck about me. They try to make it bad. They don't give a fuck about motherfuckers. They don't care. They just want tax breaks. The Democrats want tax takes. They want to take the money. I don't get that shit either. Leave my shit alone. So this motherfucking this manifesto is it's key. It's got housing, everything we can think about in the aspects of people's lives has been put in place by this communism, Marxism manifesto. We're talking about all the incision, all the shit that happened throughout the civil rights. It's been them getting jobs for people. Who the fuck? Communism, an effort to get 1,000 jobs for Negro work. That's communism, bro. I mean, do we like communism? I mean, because where's the end game to say that we're gonna fuck everybody over? That's what I want to get. Or just the system itself is set up. Like you go to the casino, they don't give a fuck about you hitting because the whole system is set up for you to lose, as long as you follow the system. And so, by showing this right here, it says a nationwide drive for 1,000 additional jobs for Negro workers, with a particular emphasis on jobs for Negro women. Now, how is that, so to speak, communism? Break that down for me. How is that communism, bro? Oh, my bad.
Right, I hear you. No, it's not. It's
I mean, it's not, but tell me not, because this is what they pushing, bro. So tell me, how, bro? How? I mean, well, this is their plan, but it's all the subjugated for tyranny. Now, where in the manifesto, or how do we get to where we're getting fucked over? Because that seems good right there, right? A campaign to solicit 1 million signatures petitioning for national fair employment practices. So this communist movement is for a fight for people to get equal paying jobs, right?
Yeah, it seems like,
but it's not. It's for the people they bringing over.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's for the immigrants, but it's the influence.
That's tough. That's tough, because you can't see this and be like, no, I don't agree with that. Fuck that.
Right. Yeah, because think about it. So what I'm doing, running out my house, crying and complaining. So, cause I mean, it's not meaning some of us. I'll say some.
Right, knock me down. Yeah, motherfucker, get your ass out of here, bro. You fucking talking about you don't want no job for the ladies, bro.
Right.
Right. So you can't even fight against this. You can't fight against it.
Because think about it. What I'm doing, holding the picket sign, running around, making noise. I don't see unless I'm either on the payroll, I'm part of the construct of.
But think about me and you. Now we holding the space. We standing out there. We got a sign to say, no, we against the nationwide drive for 100,000 jobs for Negro workers. We're against it.
We're against it.
We against communism, right?
Yeah, we going against the manifesto.
We're against communism. We're against communism.
So,
right.
so Circuit V knows is a problem. See, you become a problem. You become a hassle.
Let's hold the space tomorrow and say, are you against communism? Who against communism? I support communism. Do you?
You going to the CAD, they go, hey, look, this is with privilege. This is where all the bullshit, propaganda. What Leonard say? Yeah, proper slogan they gonna use against you, sir. They gonna have you on
I bet I get the people to support me.
They gonna say,
I'm with a campaign to solicit 1 million signatures for fair.
This is what they gonna do, sir. They gonna line you up like this. They gonna say, in today's news, we got a new movement. It's Communist Fair, started by Circular. They gonna have you on ABC.
No, I'm not trying to start. I'm gonna tell people I just want to pick up from my old practices, right? I want to bring into policies, like I want to pledge to work for the Negro Rights Organization in an attempt to influence the trade.
But you against this? Hold on, sir. You said you against this?
No, I'm with communism. I'm a communist. I'm saying I'm bringing my points. I want to pledge to work for the Negro Rights Organization in an effort to attempt to influence.
You standing up for that? You standing up for that?
To movement to support demands for the abolition of poll tax, anti-lynch legislation. I'm not with this shit, right? Right? You're a communist. You want to be a communist, right? I'm yeah, all out support. I'm with this. I want self-determination, y'all. Policy is important. You know what I'm saying? And the end of the so-called United States policy of so-called colonial oppressors.
Right.
I want to end the suppression. I want to end that. I want this. You say I want to part. I would say I want these include the drive to win better positions for Negro women in Sears Roebuck Company. I want to attempt to attain jobs for Negro women as pilots, stewardess, ticket clerks. This is what this is what I want to do as a Communist Party.
How's that communist?
This is what I'm putting. This is Communist Manifesto. I'm just reading what they did.
Exactly right. I'm laughing because, well, this is the proper manifesto. Then
you gonna tell me this ain't communism? I'm reading from the Communist Manifesto, sir. You want to tell me? Right? No, you don't support that. You take all the money from everybody, and like they think in China and Russia, this is communist places, right? And so, I'm reading what communism is to people, and you want to tell me what you heard on the news? I'm reading a manifesto, sir, and I'm fighting for jobs. God damn it! I want to hiring policy against certain large industry plants building in Louisville, Kentucky. Let freedom crash gateway in the South. God damn it! I'm bringing communism back.
Bringing it back full fledged.
Right. I mean, this is what people want.
Okay. Well, here's where the counter movement. You become a problem, sir. I'm gonna have to. Here come my folks now. You can't.
Right, but shit. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm gonna change the name. I'm gonna change the name.
Because let's stay right there. That's the manifesto. What's wrong with that manifesto? I see that curriculum being good. What the hell's wrong with them, man? That's the man. How does that deem
Democrat?
Now, how is that deemed injustice or revolutionist? I mean,
because they're not because they put this narrative what communism is. Whole time communism is democracy. So this stuff right here is all stuff that the Democratic Party was doing. These are things that the Democrat was doing.
Right.
So I'm sorry for calling myself a communist. I call myself a Democrat. I'm not with none of that political shit, but the word communism is deemed bad, but communism is democracy. And this is the Democrat shit right here. This they blueprint. Right. This is the shit they was doing. Equal rights and all this stuff. They was Martin Luther King.
Right.
They was calling him a communist, but he was following the Communist Manifesto. That's why he said, I brought my people to abandon building, because he realized he was under the Communist Manifesto. See what I'm saying? He realized what he was doing, which was this right here. So he was an agent, so to speak. He ain't know though. So by doing all this stuff right here, including all this stuff right here that they showing these right here, all of this stuff right here was put in place by communists, by Marxism. All this. And in return, it took us out the game. Well, it ain't take us out the game, but let it sit on the sideline for a second. We'll be back. God damn it. As long as we keep researching ourselves and looking at this documentation right here, I mean, and anybody that watches it should put a whole nother perspective on what communism is. Because we don't even, just to think of it, you just think about communism in Russia. You turn your bad nose. You turn up, you just put a little something on your stomach for this, Russia, communism. Oh man, bad. I feel for those people, but this is what we doing. Shit. I don't see to look on. I don't see anything wrong with none of this documentation that said the things that they've been doing, so to speak. Well, I didn't know what's wrong, but people, nobody can say that this is wrong. That's what I'm saying. I get in space talking about I'm a communist. Fuck with me.
But what's wrong with influx in people, right? What's wrong with what is people's biggest fear about bringing people over or assimilating people? I think it's like, okay, because if I'm not going to do some of the jobs that I see some of the migrants do, I'm not going to do it. I don't care what you say. I'm not picking berries. And I'm not being facetious. There's certain jobs that I know that I'm not going to do and people are not going to do. So you get people that just want to work and maybe find decorum within that craft. I mean, your craft is your craft, and if you farmland and like, just for a real example, just the Chavez movement out here in Cali, these was farm workers that fought got a part of the manifesto, and stood up for the farm rights because they saw that, you need a construct behind you, Chavez. Y'all are instrumental in the farm and vegetation and fruit land in California. So here go the backbone of Chavez assimilating, even him picking, but it furthered his people because he assimilated. Where they got Cesar Chavez is real big out here. They get, so
Check this out. Check this out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. You're talking about these programs. So I'm gonna give you an example how we just think with our hearts, and sometimes we don't use our minds. Okay, you have people coming. We got people coming to this country. Let's just say from Spanish, Mexicans coming into the country, right? So they come into the country, they learn English. Now you're talking about jobs like Burger King and shit like this. They get picked for jobs because they're bilingual. And they coming over here and they struggling and all this shit. Whole time, people that's living here don't get those positions now because they don't speak Spanish. Why should they have to? These people come into our country and they get benefited from speaking our language. So now they get a position over the people that's here, and they have to come over here and speak English. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you're thinking with your heart, but not thinking with the head, because now you got Americans here because I don't want to speak Spanish. Now I can't get a job as a manager, or I'm losing positions. I'm out of positions because I don't speak Spanish. And the people that come here, they speak Spanish already. So they get better jobs because of the language that they speak, their home language. Not the new language, they get the home language. That's dumb as hell. Because you're not going to go anywhere in the country and get a job in China because you speak English, unless they need you to speak English.
Hey, welcome to the new manifesto of the simulation. They tough.
Yeah.
I see it all my life in Cali. That's why I don't say it nothing. Shit, we've been seeing it, man. So yeah, absolutely, man.
NAACP, see it right here. All of it in the federal document. The Communist Party seeks to foster discord and discontent among the Negro race by agitation and propaganda in order to facilitate the rise of socialism in the United States. Whereas the goal of the NAACP is to achieve full racial integration. The goal of the NAACP, certain measures of success in controlling isolated chapters. Okay. The Communist Party has had certain measure of success in controlling isolated chapters of the NAACP, but has been unable to secure domination of the organization on a state or national level. Now, this is in 50-something. When is this documentation came out? You think they got it? Because you see King fall, all that shit fall. So this manifesto, which was stopped, supposedly, continue. It says the NAACP is alert to those instances where communism control has been affected. At the 41st National Convention held in June 1950, the NAACP went on record as opposing communism and empowered its board of directors to revoke the charter of any chapter found to be communist controlled. In 1955, it reaffirmed its stand against communism, calling it anti-democratic way of life, and warned its branches to be constantly alert against communist infiltration. Where is communism? What are they talking about? What is communist? What is communism? So the NAACP is pointing out that they're against communism. What are you against? Where in this documentation that NAACP should be against this shit? You said it with what? Said throughout the years, the Communist Party of USA has tried to infiltrate and gain control of the NAACP using tactics consistent with party policies during its alternative militant and United Front periods. It recognizes the NAACP as the most important Negro organization dedicated to the fight for Negro equality. Oh, let me go back. Negro Fraternal Protest and Improvement Organization. It's questionable the most important agency for Negro people in the United States in their struggle against caste. It was started on an initiative of group of white citizens. It was started on the initiative of a group of white citizens. NAACP, it was started on the initiative of a group of white citizens who in 1909 called a conference supported by both Negroes and whites to organize a national conference for the discussion of present evils, the voicing of protests, and the renewal of struggle for civil and political liberty. In 1910, the group merged with Niagara Movement. Ooh, Niagara Movement. We need to look at that is. Formed in 1905 by a group of Negroes who urged protest rather than accommodation in an effort to secure equal rights for the Negroes. To form the NAACP with the objective of winning full equality for the Negro as an American citizen. The national office of the NAACP in New York supervises the work of approximately 1,300 branches with youth councils and college chapters located throughout 41 states, the District of Columbia, and Alaska, while the leadership of the NAACP has always been interracial. The majority of its membership, which confined to upper class Negroes, is particularly all Negro, according to the report of the 47th annual. It reached a new high, 300,000 members in 1956. Income soared to a record 600,000. That's how much money they was bringing in. It's probably like, you know what that number is now. Major portion of work was carried out through its national office, which keeps a constant check on Negro rights and attempts to secure passage of favorable state and federal legislation. In a broad sense, the NAACP strives to create favorable publicity for Negro era. Okay. They're just talking about them getting assimilated with it. But they talking about they couldn't get in. You think they got in?
Man, you know they got in, man. Them the Jews, man. The NAACP, that's the Sephardics, man.
What?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'll say this. They started that up with the boys and them. The boys went over there to Germany and see a lot of the Marxist movement. See, think about it. Lenin, Stalin, you think Lenin and Stalin got handed down to Lenin and Stalin. So this manifesto wasn't overnight written by no Lenin and Stalin. Karl Marx and all them was picking up. He started Marxism. Karl Marx was Jewish and melanated family. He was Jewish and melanated. So the 1800s is real key. Why I throw back that way to bring it up to where you mentioned in the NAACP, how they was able to continue to assimilate and be instrumental in keeping the colored paradigm, because they barred up on the melon, that, you know, through being assimilated over here, seeing what was going on in the 1800s, Marxism and all that. And then think about it, Ivan the Terrible. If anybody's familiar with Ivan the Terrible, he going bananas over there in Russia. He's slaying everything. Then you had the Peter the Great in Prussia. You have the Prussian dude. They assassinated Peter the Great. Peter was tied to the trade. He was melanated. So there was a lot of bloodthirst going on. And I land with that. So when them dudes start running, because think about it, the Stalin, Lenin, and Marxism, that wasn't no overnight man. That was that was passed down. That shit been regulating, man, over there. And it just got over here where you and I is cracking open that, look, this is the paradigm after 1865 in our land.
Yeah, that's tough, bro. That's tough. Yeah, this practice has been going on. I'm improved, benevolent, and protective order of the Elks world. We're gonna have to build on that, because this was established in 1897. I'm just looking at this right here. So I just looked at it. So I want to look into that when we get in the back for work in the Discord. We're about to get up off here. We get in the back. I just want to finish, make sure we don't miss nothing. So I have to pull this back up.
And shout out to let me read the comment. Yeah, absolutely. Sando, he said the Niagara Movement was a Black civil rights organization founded in 1905 by a group of activists. Yeah, correct. See, we talking about movements and concepts.
Liz, Sando is Liz too.
Huh?
That's Liz too. Sando is Liz. Liz, what? Let me give you the link. Want to come up?
That's Liz. No, leave her down there.
No,
that's Liz.
No, I ain't.
I'm
Come on up,
sorry,
Liz.
man. Dog, leave her down there.
No,
She
come on
ain't
up,
gonna come
Liz.
up.
Yes, she
She
is.
that's the
No,
leave
because you know
my
she research. That's our researcher right there. See how she got right on it. I was Googling,
Scully.
she already got right on it. Like she
I
already
had
got
no
right on it.
idea.
Right. But see, I mentioned that she already got her fingers going because we got the Discord where we be researching, breaking down shit, and she's one of
Scully, come on
the
up.
sisters. Yeah, I sent her the
I
link to
got
come
to
on up.
expose him.
You come on up, Kane, if you still here too, bro. You want to come on up, say something? I dropped the link in the chat. But yeah, this yeah, she got all type of different names.
Yeah, she gonna throw the brick at me when we get into the frat house. Yeah, we got a frat house too, man. We be over there building in our Discord. Music paradigms. We just getting started, but yeah, the Niagara Falls. That's 1905. So you figure late 1800s, and start of the NAACP. That was that was Jews and a lot of melanated Jews, Sephardics, come because of what was going on. And we talking people who can be able to set up over here. You figure, think about it, sir. This 1905. We already know what Babe Ruth and all, because I always like to mess with what was happening and things was shaking, but real fast. And because I know we about to get out of here. If me and you running not running or just coming from over another country, well, we got to have a bag. We got to have something, man. We ain't just come. We got how we get people to bite into our paradigm.
Now check this out. It says, okay, this is the effects with it says effects within the Communist Party white chauvinism. Although the Communist Party has consistently advocated full social, political, industrial, economic, and political equality for the Negroes, the application of certain facets of this policy within its own organization must be considered. The Communist Party USA has frequently elected or appointed Negroes, at least nominally, to positions of authority. Two Negroes, Henry Winston and Benjamin Davis, were members of the National Committee prior to the convictions in 1949 for conspiracy to violate the Smith Act. Three other Negroes, Jackson, Lightfoot, and Perry, alternate members of the party, they all convicted of the Smith Act also. Like, they was knocking motherfuckers down, but like they knocking people down, they can put them on the Smith Act. But these Smith, what they doing? Fighting for equal rights? So what's the Smith Act? What's the Smith Act? I think we had talked about the Smith Act. Smith Act, 1940. I think that's saying you can't like talk against the government, but you can't talk for.
I think I know Skanda will get it up. Smith Act.
Advocate overthrowing the government. That's what they're talking about.
Okay. Moods, so get that up.
Knocking the government down. Yeah, it gets your ass. Yeah, it's like any talk, but these people that's getting behind these movements was getting charged with this shit for the Smith Act, right? But these movements is all civil rights movements for people, equality and shit. But you can't say that because that's the picture that like you fighting for that, but they're gonna tell them what they want to tell them. We've been under Democrat all these constructs, and they've been painting a picture of what they want us to believe, but that's not been the truth. And so these people that's been getting behind these movements, which communism, ABC, D, is democracy. All these people are getting knocked down for this shit. White chauvinism. That shit crazy. This is crazy. This is deep. And if I would take this with me and I would break this down. Anybody that's a Republican and looking for something to talk. Look, this is deep. Because you could take this word right here, communist, and I could change that a little bit. And I could put Democratic Party right there. If we change all the communists in this documentation and said the Democratic Party and take out anything to do with workers' infiltration, would this documentation look bad for the Democratic Party if they put it out? Ask you that knows. Ask you that. Anybody in chat? Let me ask the chat that. I got a question in the chat. There's only a couple people there. Whoever there. If I take out the word Communist Party and put Democratic Party and remove any documentation nefarious talking about like trying to hire people and workers and just leave the documentation in place, would this look bad for the Democratic Party? Bino.
No.
No. It wouldn't, would it?
Nope.
Yeah. And I'm gonna land with that because I think it's over with. So I'm gonna land with that.
Hey, that's what's up, man. We're gonna get into
I'm
it.
gonna put a little song on before I go. You know what I'm saying? I want to thank everybody that came. When you come in, wipe your feet off. Like and share. Like and share.
And don't park in the valet parking.
Right. Don't park in the valet parking. Right.
That's for strictly for people with tickets and regular. Y'all know what the hell I'm saying. Good night. Go to bed.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. One song before I go. I play this before I go. Goddamn it.
African American voters are voting at just as high a percentage as Americans.
Me in this beat. Tom Don, real American, original American. I'm from here. I ain't come here.
Seymour.
It's like top of my color, hot die for my brothers.
Oh, you came up now. He didn't drop down. You came up. You were trying to get up all that time, were you? Call him back. Where you at?
Yeah, I was trying.
You gotta come back.
I had to figure it out. Thanks for the invite. This is exciting.
What did you think about it? What did you think about it?
It was amazing. It was a very good job.
What do you think about this being kind of fuel to the Republican Party? And what do you think about that question I said? If I took out the words in the documentation and took out Communist Party and put Democratic Party and took out like the work they was using to hire people to do jobs in this, would that look bad for the Democratic Party to say that this is what they were trying to do?
Well, you have to do it in disguise.
But would that look bad if they said that this is what we were trying to do as our party? This is what we want to do as our party. Would that look bad for them if they said that?
I think so.
No, I don't think so. You think about it. If I took out the words communist, that documentation, everything that they were fighting for sound like what people will fight for. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I was telling him, Bino's here. He thought it was over, but I told him he was here. Yeah, I think that like to say that you were against what they were doing, you would seem like you would be deemed wrong. Because to fight for jobs for women and equal rights, it seemed like that's what you should be fighting for. Whole time that this is what they were pushing. So I'm saying it's like, I think this is synonymous. I think that this is the Democratic Party. They, who they said don't talk to the communists.
You could be right.
At the time, did they have Communist Party offices on the land? Have we ever heard that before? Stay away from the communists. Don't get with any people in the organizations that we have chapters all over the world. Okay, the convention. This is the Communist Convention in 1950, but what they said, the DNC, they're just not saying Democrat. But the communists, there wasn't a comment. I don't hear anything. I ain't heard nothing about no Communist Party USA. That's the backdoor talk about these people. The people is Democratic Party. At the time fighting for civil rights, there was no communist.
The
Democratic Republican.
what came to my mind was when the students were bused to the South to help with to register to vote. I wonder if they knew the agenda, if they had any clue.
No, nobody knows. Remember, he said to build communism, got to build with non-communist hands. They're just following the manifesto. Fight for civil right. That's right.
Well, think about it. That's what I think. That's what Liz is saying. That the people that was coming down, they probably didn't have no clue that this
No,
is
she
because
asked did they have it? Like, is she right? Yeah, I don't think they did either. Right? I don't think they did.
they knew. I don't think they knew what they were signing up because this is built by non-communist hands, but meaning it's communists that's funding it. I mean, because where they getting the funding? Hypothetically, they say, "Sir, B knows Liz. We got $150,000 grant. We need y'all to go start up. We like y'all. We like whatever y'all doing, and we start y'all up." Now we're thinking it's humane work. We going in the enemy territory, sent or not knowing we being sent with an agenda. But hell, we got $150,000 grant, pellet grant, or whatever for whatever work we doing. I'm just using that as an example of the funding go behind a lot of these movements. Now, hell, I'm not gonna say don't go spend 20,000 on the car, sir.
Right, you're right.
But perks come with but saying that to say we go do the work. Now, for example, Liz wants we get a building. Now we get offices, we get furniture. Here come registers, here go clipboards, here go payroll. I mean, we nonprofit. Now, once again, we're nonprofit, but we're getting people to buy in. Now, hypothetically, here goes a young 18-year-old intern want to work for us, like what we doing. Okay, he or she knows desk work. So does she know she's signing up? Does she know who's the funding all this? It's just she's down for our movement and cause. And so I think it works in a sense of people not knowing because hell, tell me and you that we marching, we in the 60s, we thinking we up under a righteous movement for our people. What did old Leonard say, man? We was proper slogan. He thought it was for the help regiment of the people. Even the sister, the FBI lady, she even said that we thought that this was going to better regiment of the people, but it turned out to be put people at each other's throat.
That's how good this manifesto is that you're doing it
tough.
and you don't even know you're doing it. It is so disguised.
Right.
That's tough, man.
Yeah. I think it's amazing to find this out. And then like this is the blueprint. The blueprint.
Yeah, sir. Because I'm not gonna take. Because think about it, sir. I ain't gonna take you throwing no bottle over my head. Fuck this. Excuse my lady. I'm dropping the picket sign. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like the right. That's why Martin Luther King was so big. We're not gonna fight with violence. We're not gonna do this. And like, yes, communists like, yes, don't let them do that. Right. The whole time, like, shit. People that fought against this documentation, or people was probably actually figuring out what the fuck was going on, and we don't know about it. They deem it as something else. Radicalists and all this other shit. Whole time they're just knocking down the people that's getting up just to see. They getting into communities to see who we need to take out, to see who's gonna get in the way of our plan, which is equal rights. And it's all about that tax dollar, that pay. It's about that bread. So at the end, it's about money, right? It's about the confusion about land. It's about bread. At the end of the day, I don't give a what they talk about. So by doing this, we're gonna break everybody whole hands, and we shall kumbaya. And now we have this place that's popping. The whole world having dreams of coming over here. Motherfuckers live 10-year whole life dreaming to get a job, to bring his family over here. The American dream. This is how you create the American dream, by implementing this. We all the same, and we all here, and this is our land, your land, and equal for everybody, because we about to bring a whole bunch of motherfuckers in here. Okay, are we equal? Is it open yet? Okay, everything open. All right, come on, y'all. Come on out, y'all. They got us. It's good now. We cool? Yes. Come on out. Okay. Now bring everybody over here. Now we got these camps set up. We got this trafficking going on, this prostitution rings going on, trafficking, prostitution ring, whatever you want to call it. These rings going on, this funding, this housing, these places, these soup kitchens, they getting money, all this place to, like you say, you went to that place, they're giving all this food, donations are free, and all these millions of dollars being given to these places for this construct and this organ, you know what I'm saying? For these people coming over here. Now you got loans, people coming over here don't have to pay no taxes for time. And then, okay, now the people bringing their people in here with money to run the bag up. And the whole time we sitting here thinking that we did the right thing as a people from here. The whole time we getting fucked over though. Because we allowing the shit. Allowing them people to, we allowed them to feel like we needed to be included into our world, into our society, to our culture. So we think we needed legislation for me and you to talk and Liz to talk, for me and us to live by each other. We never needed legislation that. So now, back in the day, okay, now they done did this. Now I'm gonna take my happy-go-lucky ass and move into the neighbors who everybody hates me. I don't want to live there anyways, right? But after they passed the shit, motherfuckers didn't take their ass and move over there then. They stayed where the fuck they was at anyways. You see what I'm saying? They passed the shit and the equal rights and desegregation. They forced some people to go live in, go to school together, but nobody got their ass. Okay, now I'm about to move over there in Kentucky now. Tear my ass up. They ain't do no shit like that. People stayed where the fuck they was at. The people that came into the country, now they could come in and live next door to you and leave them alone. Leave the Chinese man alone. Leave the Indian alone. Leave the Indian man alone. Leave the people alone. Leave everybody alone. Leave the Ukrainian, leave everybody alone, because we all is one, motherfuckers. But I'm gonna land with that. It's late, man. It's 1 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock. We're gonna get out of here.
Thank you so much for having me up, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming up, showing some love. We're gonna do this all the time. I like it actually.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Yeah, we're just getting started, man. So
bye, Scully.
Right. All right, big homie.
Good night, guys.
Come on in.
I'm in la ciencia. African American voters are voting in just as high a soldier as America.
I mean this beat. Tom Don, real American, original American. I'm from here, I ain't come here. Yeah.
Say cop on my color, I die for my brothers, but I do not think that these hoes understand. It landed the bed when they burned down your channels through niggas and slammers, equality dead. Fuck it, I up, they came back from my virgin, the feather my colors, the crown with the feds. Watch how you classify when you be passing by, calling you black, it's like calling you dead. Y'all came to the land of the free and the home of the brave, but forgot that it's not where you stayed. Start having babies and switching your name around, land on the dies and you taking their place. Don't forget Democrats pushing your city back, casting your vocals, put you in the grave. Rewrite your history, filling with misery, lying, told everyone we was the slaves. Where your ancestors from? What name you took on? What boat did you bitches come on? If you had a sponsorship, you not a Thompson and see, but my people been here all along. Calling us African must be an accident. Claiming you American shit is just wrong. Clarification in case you mistaken. Sit back and remember the words of this song. Obama is not American. Mitch McConnell is not American. You crackers is not American. Pan-African is not American. Remember, there's two Americans. We the old, not the new Americans. Man, look how they do Americans. Black people, the true Americans. Sorry, not sorry.